quorum. And I'm going to call the public hearing of Thursday, July 16th to order. This meeting is being held in person and by electronic means. Council members and the public may participate by either method. Any council members joining electronically are reminded to enable video to confirm quorum. The meeting is being live streamed on the city's website and YouTube. Meeting progress will be updated on X and Threads at Van City Clerk. So due to new posting limits, updates will only cover essential items such as vote results. Speakers are encouraged to monitor the live stream to track progress, but please note it is slightly delayed. Call in or arrive soon after receiving your reminder so you are ready when your name is called. In the case of an emergency requiring active evacuation, there are 2 exits located beyond the glass doors and to the left. If the glass doors are blocked, please use one of the 4 additional exits within the chamber. Do not use the elevator. Use the stairs instead. If you need mobility assistance, remain where you are and security staff will guide you to a safe location. A defibrillator is available at the end of the hallway outside the chamber. We acknowledge that we are on the unceded homelands of the Musqueam, Squamish.
Councillor Fry has a leave of absence for civic business all day. Councillor Montague.
Present.
Councillor Klassen is in the chair. Councillor Meisner. Councillor Joe. Councillor Maloney. Councillor Orr. You have quorum, Acting Mayor Klassen.
Thank you very much. Before we begin, a few announcements. The public may speak in person or by phone, or may submit written comments to Mayor and Council. Speakers may only speak once and will have up to 5 minutes to comment on the merits of the application. Please state whether you are in support or oppose the application, and if you are a Vancouver resident. Those representing 4 or more individuals or groups, including themselves, may speak for up to 8 minutes. Each person being represented must confirm their name and presence in person or by phone and may not speak separately. Written comments can be submitted through the Mayor and Council public hearing feedback form on the city's website. If you are pre-registered with a presentation, say next to have the clerk advance your slides. The procedure bylaw prohibits council members from the use of words, tone, or gestures that express negative views of individuals or groups. Members of the public are expected to follow the directions of the chair and not engage in improper conduct, such as hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory language. Council members may raise a point of order if language is not respectful, and I may ask speakers to adjust their remarks accordingly. A reminder, at public hearings, council acts as a quasi-judicial body and must focus solely on the merits of the rezoning or heritage application. Members may ask clarifying questions of staff or speakers, including the applicant, but should reserve debate until after the speakers list is closed. After hearing from speakers, council may 1. Approve the application in principle, 2. Approve the application in principle with amendments, or 3, refuse the application, or 4, refer the application to staff for further consideration. Finally, if all speakers are not heard this evening, the public hearing will recess and reconvene on Thursday, July 23rd, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. So the very first item is the Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD1 285 Amendment, 940 to 950 West 41st Avenue, also known as the Jewish Community Center. Before we begin this item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to disclose? The clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by J. West Foundation for the site at 940 to 950 West 41st Avenue, the Jewish Community Center, to change the generalized land use designation in the Vancouver Official Development Plan from mixed-use mid-rise and mixed-use high-rise 1 to mixed-use low-rise and mixed-use high-rise 2, and to alter the boundaries between the 2 generalized land use designations. The proposal will also amend CD-1 285 Comprehensive Development District bylaw number 6963 to permit the four-phase development of two towers of 39 and 37 stories, two six-story buildings, 630 market rental units, of which at least 20% of the residential floor area will be secured as nonprofit operated rental housing, a private childcare, a private school, and a replacement Jewish community center. A floor space ratio of 5.77 and a maximum height of 136 meters are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation and the yellow memorandum dated July 10th, 2026, entitled Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD-1 Amendment, 940 to 950 West 41st Avenue, the Jewish Community Center. Council considerations when amending an ODP and change of ownership. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. 5 pieces of correspondence in support and 3 pieces of correspondence in opposition. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today. Correspondence is presented as submitted and may include multiple or duplicate entries.
Thanks very much. This is our first call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. Phone number will be displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application. There are no registered speakers for this item, so council may waive the presentation unless any members wish to see it. Would any applicant like to present the application? Would the applicant like to present the application?
You waiving the presentation?
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Thanks very much. So we'll proceed with the staff presentation. Thanks.
Okay.
Just waiving it.
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Simon Jay, and I'm the rezoning planner for this rezoning application for the Jewish Community Center, or JCC, at 490 to 590 West 41st Avenue. Staff would like to note that there is a yellow memo attached to this project that provides additional information about the ODP amendment, as well as information on a change of ownership since the report was referred. The site, outlined in red, is an irregular-shaped 1.35 hectare or 3.3 acre parcel located on the south side of 41st Avenue to the west of Willow Street. It is currently developed with the 3-story Jewish Community Center and a surface parking lot. The surrounding area is undergoing significant change. The Oak Ridge Center is currently being built and is a multi-tower development with heights up to 52 stories. To the north of the Oak Ridge Center is the approved R51 zoning, allowing multiple towers up to 26 stories. There are also 2 active rezoning applications across the street from JCC. The former Oak Ridge Transit Center, which is proposing multiple towers up to 33 stories, and 809 West 41st Avenue, which is next up on tonight's public hearing agenda, and that proposes 32-story tower. Under the Vancouver Official Development Plan, this site is currently split designated as Mixed-Use Mid-Rise and Mixed-Use High-Rise 1. An amendment to the ODP to change the designation is required to support this proposal. The change is to Mixed-Use High-Rise 2 and Mixed-Use Low-Rise. This proposal is being considered under the Oak Ridge Transit Center and adjacent sites policy statement. The policy statement provides direction for renewal and expansion of JCC. It includes guidance on mix of use, built form, and public realm improvements. It says building height should be respectful of the existing and future neighborhood context, but no maximum density is provided. In 2018, Council approved a rezoning amendment for the JCC campus. This includes a larger JCC and residential towers of 26 and 24 stories. The 2018 approval was enacted in 2025 and is therefore allowable under the current CD1 zoning. The proposal before you today amends this CD1, CD1 285, for a 4-phase development. It includes 2 towers with heights of 39 stories, which is 136 meters tall, and 37 stories, which is 131 meters tall. The overall density proposed is 5.77 FSR. The application proposes 630 rental units, of which 20% of the residential floor area will be secured as non-profit operated. It also proposes a 16,000 square meter Jewish community center, a private childcare, and a private high school. Under the Vancouver Charter, consultation and opportunities must be provided for persons, organizations, and authorities affected by an ODP amendment. Council directed staff to consult with the VSB, CSF, the Musqueam Indian Band, Squamish Nation, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation. The VSB noted there are capacity shortages anticipated at the catchment schools, Jameson Elementary and Hamber Secondary. The VSB employs several strategies to mitigate enrollment pressures, including reducing out-of-catchment enrollment, relocating districts' choice programs, adjusting catchment boundaries, undertaking renovations, and deploying portables. No comments were received from other groups by the end of the consultation period. During the public engagement period for this rezoning application, support was expressed for this community-led and financed development, that it provides expanded community amenities, it continues the legacy of the existing JCC, it increases rental housing, and it's in a good location served by transit. Concerns were related to construction fatigue, traffic and parking, tower height and neighborhood fit, infrastructure strain, and insufficient affordability. Staff have the following responses to these concerns. Staff acknowledge the high level of construction in the area and that construction will continue for the foreseeable future. However, staff note that the most disruptive construction on 41st Avenue has mostly finished, and the majority of future construction should be less concentrated. Also, the development must follow city processes and permits, including meeting the noise control bylaw. The site is well served by transit, and it is not anticipated that this project will significantly increase traffic or street parking. The neighborhood is currently changing towards a high-rise, transit-oriented area, and the height and density of this proposal fits with the emerging context. As part of the redevelopment, JCC will provide expanded community facilities. Staff have worked with the applicant to increase long-term affordability and have secured at least 20% of the residential floor area to be operated by a housing non-profit. The anticipated public benefits from this project is $19 million, which is approximately $17.7 million in DCLs and $1.3 million in public art. Other public benefits include an approximately 16,000 square meter replacement Jewish community center, 99 private childcare spaces, and 630 rental housing units, of which 20% of the residential floor area will be secured as non-profit operated. The proposed land use, form of development, and the public benefits are generally consistent with the intent of the OTC policy statement. Staff support this application subject to conditions contained in the report. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Would the applicant like to present the application? Okay. If there are any questions from council to staff or the applicant, pardon me? That is? Okay, please come to the podium. All right. You can raise the podium, Ezra, if you like.
Oh, yeah, look at that. No, it's all good.
Great.
Okay, my name is Ezra Shankin. I am the Chief Executive Officer of the Jewish Federation of British Columbia. And after 10 years of working on this, I think I'm in support of it. I think that, it's a good thing. For generations, the Jewish Community Center campus has been a place where people came together to learn, connect, celebrate, and support one another. It serves not only the Jewish community, but thousands of Vancouver residents from every background who participate in its programs, access its services, and benefit from its cultural and recreational offerings. The proposal before you is about securing that future. I think it's really important to touch on the fact that this is a nonprofit project. The housing component makes it possible to the renewal of critical community infrastructure. Together, the residential and community elements create a sustainable model that helps address housing needs while preserving essential public services and amenities. I also want to acknowledge that this project, like this, do not happen in a vacuum. Many in our community have felt at times they've felt hurt by rhetoric that has questioned our experiences, dismissed our concerns, or made us feel less welcome in civic life and of this city. Yet we are not here tonight to dwell on division. We are here to build. The Jewish community has never measured itself by the volume of its critics. We measure ourselves by what we contribute, what we create, and what we leave behind for future generations. Long after today's debates are forgotten, families will live here. Families will learn here. Seniors will gather here, and communities will connect here. That will be the legacy of Jay West. And in a time when it's often easier to divide than to unite, we have chosen to invest in Vancouver, to strengthen Vancouver, and to help build Vancouver's future. I want to thank the counselors in this room. So many of you have been along on this journey with us. I have a huge amount of gratitude for all of that. I take none of it for granted. I want to say for the counselors who are here at the beginning, who are no longer here, I want to thank them too, who took us every step of the way, and for the incredible planning department who has worked side by side with our incredible team here. And with that, I respectfully ask for your support of this transformational project at a transformational time.
Thanks very much. Okay, with that, all right, so council, first of all, I'm just going to, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
Am I okay to proceed?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for having me tonight. Thank you, counselors and acting mayor. So I consider myself incredibly fortunate to have the best job in the world. I've worked in community recreation for nearly 30 years. I am currently the assistant executive director at the Jewish Community Center. And funny enough, before joining the JCC, I actually spent 6 years managing Trout Lake Community Center. Because I've worked on both sides of recreation, I can say with confidence that the Jewish Community Center is one of Vancouver's hidden gems. And I'm here today to speak on behalf of strong support for Jay West. For nearly 100 years, the JCC has strengthened this city by complementing Vancouver's recreation system. Every day, we provide recreation, childcare, arts, health, and community programs that help meet the growing demand without relying on municipal operating budgets. Walk through our doors on any given day. You'll find 150 kids in camp, 80 families in our daycare, a room full of older adults playing bridge, packed fitness classes, packed pickleball classes, a full theater, and neighbors gathering around the cafe. Every year, we teach more than 3,000 swimming lessons and have trained 1,500 lifeguards, many of whom are keeping Vancouver residents safe in city pools. Our impact reaches well beyond our walls. Our Early Childhood Center helps train the next generation of educators through partnerships with Langara and Vancouver Community College. while our theater provides hands-on experience for emerging theater technicians at a time when opportunities are becoming increasingly rare in Vancouver. But the magic of the JCC is not found in attendance numbers. It's found in the moments that you cannot measure. It's seeing someone arrive alone and leaving with lifelong friends. It's watching children from many cultures celebrating the Jewish Sabbath together and learning respect, curiosity, belonging. It's seeing a community where approximately 40% of the people who walk through our doors are not Jewish, but feel just as welcome. As we rebuild the campus, we're not simply replacing a building, we're investing in the next 50 to 100 years, hopefully, of community and recreation in Vancouver. I've spent my entire career in recreation. I know what municipal recreation does exceptionally well. I also know there's something truly unique about the JCC. We do not compete with the city's recreation system. We complete it. Thank you.
Much. Okay, are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant? Noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant. I see Councillor Kirby Young. Oh, we have one more speaker. We have one more speaker. Sorry. Okay. We have one more speaker from the applicant. All right, Ed.
I had a longer speech here, but really it's been covered quite well by Ezra and Allison. Thank you. Look, it has been an incredible journey for us. We've been at this for 12 years, and this team, we are ready really to get going on this project, and we hope you are too. Really, it could not have been made possible without some incredible work. I just want to name a few people out because it's really taken a lot of commitment and dedication and mostly collaborative work. And that's, I think, what's so exciting about this project is that we really, truly have come together as not just the Jewish community, but the larger community, planning department, the housing department, and yourselves, the councillors and mayor of the city. So just a special shout out, because so much time was spent on this, to Josh and Donnie and Armin and Templar and the entire housing department, and of course Simon. So we're ready to go, and we really appreciate all the time and the commitment in the process to get us to this point. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll now hear from questions from councillors. Councillor Kirby Young.
Yeah, thanks very much. I have a few clarifying questions that I didn't think were fully explicit to me in the presentation. The 630 rentals and the terminology that was used was a bit different than we see in typical reports. There's questions to staff. It said 20% nonprofit operated. Normally we see 20% BMR below market or 20% below market. Can you clarify what the nonprofit operated and affordability expectations look like, please?
Yeah, my colleague Molly online from Housing can answer this question.
I have limited time. Do we have the person?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. So the intent of that definition is that there is no affordability secured on on title. However, the 20% floor area must be long-term leased or owned by a nonprofit housing operator for 60 years of life of the building.
Okay, I'm going to direct a question to the applicant because this is our one opportunity. What is the intention for affordability on the nonprofit operated housing component, please?
Thank you, Councillor, for the question. My name is David Port. I'm the co-chair with Joe of the J West project. So this is a community project, community-led, community-run project. The housing will 100% remain owned by the community in perpetuity. So we will be working with a housing provider on the affordability. What we see in the long term is quite different than a typical project and other projects might see in front of you. What we see in the long term is that we want to expand the affordability as far as we possibly can. However, on day one, we won't be able to, because we'll just be getting started. So
will you be offering anything below market in those nonprofit operated units to start with?
On day one or on day future?
On day one, or
let's say the first few years. Day one will look like. Day one will be working with a housing provider and we'll let them govern the housing part of it, the nonprofit housing. And what we see over the fullness of time is we expect to well exceed that 20% as the cash flow allows and as we're able to.
But you have no projected timeline at this point for when you'll have some affordability?
We expect we'll have affordability on day one. We have a requirement from our donor base that there's affordability on day one.
And how is that affordability defined, please?
We don't have a definition of it yet. We'll work with our housing providers, will probably be Tikva Housing, to define that.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm going to follow up on another question to staff. The previous proposal, I didn't find the presentation was explicit in the distinctions between it. Certainly did talk about building heights. In fact, we have 630 rental units now. What was the tenure of the units on the previously approved rezonings?
The tenure previously was social housing.
All of it?
I believe so.
299 units?
Yes.
Okay. And is it fair to say that the social housing can't be delivered because of the escalating construction costs and otherwise without support from senior levels of government? Is that one of the reasons for the pivot?
If I refer to Bill? Yeah, my colleague Bill in Real Estate Services can answer that question. Or the applicant, maybe? Yeah, actually, maybe the applicant can answer it.
If the applicant would like to comment on the pivot, that would be great.
Short answer, yes. Economically not feasible to do that deep level of discount. But as well, an important component of this project is we want to see this project as self-sustaining. So we've got a community center, we have a school, and we have the housing. And in the fullness of the project is to be economically self-sustaining. So the housing has to help us generate funding for the community center for the long-term pool replacement, roof replacement.
I understand, and I appreciate that. What changed between the previous approval and this one that it wasn't
cost.
sustainable?
Cost, yeah, massive cost increase.
So escalation in construction costs?
Oh, massive, yeah.
Any other community amenity components that were added, or was it overall cost?
Were any community amenities?
Were there any
added?
other material changes to the application?
The community center was always been a part of the application. So, I mean, that's clearly the community benefits, a $180 million community benefit.
Okay, but no other components changed?
No other changed.
Okay, so it still houses the other things that we expected to be there, like the new Holocaust Education Center?
Oh, yeah. We've
Childcare,
got
community
aquatic center's
center.
not changed. That's like a key component of it is no change to aquatic center. We've worked really hard for that. Theater still in place, like was a big piece of it. 2 gymnasiums, large fitness center, huge childcare component. Vancouver Holocaust Education Center,
Okay.
big, important part of it. So
And then
nothing
just one
changed in the
clarifying
community center.
question before I run out of time to the applicant is, in terms of aquatics, we're short in the city. I know people have to be members, but that is open to the public at large if they wish to have a membership. Is that correct?
The community center is fully open to the public.
Including the
It's always been a
aquatics.
public community center, continues a public community center. It's one of the most beautiful parts,
Including the pool?
including the pool. It's one of those beautiful parts of what Ezra said. It's a community facility that we're so happy to be a part of.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we have a competition pool that's part of the community, part of the
How long
public
is
event.
how long is the pool?
25 meter.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Meisner.
Thanks, Chair. Councillor Kirby-Young asked a few of my questions, but I had another one. I was looking for more information from the applicant around the plans for King David High School, the existing site. Is the new high school, as part of this development, meant to replace that? And if so, what are the plans, if any, for the existing site? Whoever wants to answer from the applicant team. Either one might be for staff, so you
Okay,
take this
no
one,
problem.
Sure. Yeah.
So existing new high school will replace existing high school, correct? It's a larger facility
Yep.
to accommodate the growth of the school, which we can't accommodate on the existing site. Current site is privately owned, so the owners will decide what they're going to do with that when the high school moves to the new location.
Okay, so the current site is not owned by J West?
It's not owned by J West. Yeah, it's not a part of the project at all, but we're super excited to bring the school in as part of this project.
Okay, and what phase is that in this development, the
It's-
school?
Phase 2, so quick phasing is we're going to build a new community center on the existing parking lot if you're familiar with the site.
Sam, yeah.
Because we want to remain operational in the community center for as long as possible.
Okay.
Once the new community center is built, we can demolish the community center. So phase 2, let's call it, would be the high school 2A, and 2B would be the residential component. But the
Okay.
high school comes immediately after the community center.
Okay, and what's the construction timeline on the community center? Should this be approved?
We're expecting 3 years-ish from commencement to full commissioning and being operational.
Okay, and no downtime in between because you'll have the old community center.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the beauty of this parking lot, is that we've got the ability to keep the community center running while we build the new.
Yes. In the meantime, though, where will people park?
We are securing parking throughout the neighborhood right now. We're working quite hard on that and securing parking throughout the neighborhood for both staff and for customers, patrons, members, visitors, whatever you want to call them.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome.
That's it for me for applicant. For staff, I have a question around further to Councillor Kirby-Young's questions around what is not a usual arrangement that we see in terms of the terminology for the nonprofit operated units as opposed to below market units. Are staff satisfied, I guess is my question, that there is enough public benefit here to move forward? And I'm just curious from a policy perspective, is there a different policy that applies to this site, or is it related to the fact that there was already a previous application? I just want to get a better understanding of why this is a little bit different.
Yeah, I think anytime there's a community serving organization, whether it's a religious institution or otherwise, some of the public benefits are not similar to what we would get through, say, a turnkey city asset that's being turned over. So we certainly are getting, capital P, capital B public benefits through like the DCLs that were mentioned. But in a project like this, we're supporting the project with extra density to help make the array of what you might call small p, small b public benefits that this organization is trying to operate over the long term. And Simon's presentation highlighted the childcare, the affordable units, the rental units, and of course the centerpiece of the whole project being the Jewish Community Center facility itself. That's a community asset that we recognize as vital.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for further explanation there. I appreciate that. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bly.
Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate the questions actually on construction timeline, and I'm just wondering, just to clarify, is that all 4 phases? What was quoted, I suspect not. So phase 1, 2, yeah, well, to the applicant, whoever wants to answer.
Was which all 3 phases. So community center itself is going to be approximately a 3-year construction timeline, and then we'll move into the subsequent phases.
Yes. Do you have a projected timeline
The
for?
school probably will be another 2 years, let's say, after that, and the residential market dependent.
So are you concerned about costs escalating that far out for the housing component of this application?
That's a question mark. Obviously, we can't answer today. I'm like anybody else, like any other, in the rest of my world, when I work as a private developer or looking 5 years out what it's going to be, don't know. But right now, really, we're focused on the community. We're a reverse project. Josh said it so nicely. We're a reverse project. We're going to deliver the community benefits first.
Yeah.
First thing is going to be the community center. We're going to spend $180 million of privately raised money for the community center. Then we're going to move on to the school, and then we're finally going to get to the residential at the end. So we're doing a reverse role here.
Okay.
So our key really is the community aspects of it, which for us is the community center and the school. That's really the key. And the residential, when time allows and the market allows, then that would be time for that to come on board.
Okay. So sometimes projects really map out a timeline that they feel might be ambitious and that they're really targeting towards. This site here is quite different. You're really committed on first phase and 2, and then there will be an element of having to see where things land for
Absolutely
3 and 4.
It's the reverse of most projects you see. Most projects you see, they want to do the residential first and give you the other part last. We want to do this part first.
Yeah.
It'll be in the next 5 years, so that'll be done. And then when the market allows, move into the residential component.
Okay. And then 4-story or four levels of parking, that's coming later, right? So in terms, or is that with phase 1? With the
There's no parking under the community center,
No parking.
partly because of the pool and partly for security reasons.
Yeah.
We don't have parking under the community buildings. The parking it's going to depend on when the residential happens. It's both under the residential and under the playing fields, or at surface, depending on the timing of the residential.
Right.
We have a plan for both those 2 options, depending on which way the development goes beyond that.
Okay, that's super helpful. And a few of my other questions have been asked. And so I just wanted to understand the phasing in terms of how we're looking at it. At this as a complete development, but really it's, oh, I know. I had a question, actually. Appreciate the comments from, sorry, is it
Allison.
Allison? So in terms of the community center itself, I've been there many times, but have never been to access the amenities. In terms of affordability or accessible, like how is that measured? Because I appreciate it's very open to the public and perhaps people don't even realize. I'm sure people in your community, like close by the community center do, but maybe broadly speaking, may not. So
Yeah. So the key is hidden gem
Yeah,
because
this is what
some
I'm
people
saying.
know, and if you know, you know. If you don't, you don't.
Mhm.
And so to access the services at the community center, you do not have to be a member. There's no membership required. The vast majority of the people taking our swimming lessons are regular people not paying a membership. So a membership is sort of your regular fitness. So it's sort of like very similar to your one card in the city of Vancouver, where you pay a monthly. And actually, if you look at the costing of the membership itself, it is not vastly different from a regular pass to a community center. And so when you're looking at affordability, it is not that much more. We always think about ourselves as, you know, there's accessible recreation within Vancouver and there's 24 community centers. We are an alternative choice to the 24 community centers.
You're not like a private community, like private club style community center is what I'm hearing.
We are
You're
not a
very
private
open.
club style. As I mentioned, we have 40% of our membership that are not
great.
Jewish, and that's an estimate because we don't monitor that very closely. We want to make sure we're as open as possible. One of the interesting things from affordability is, you know, our theater, like I had mentioned, we have 30,000 people who come into our theater on I don't know if I even mentioned it, but on an annual basis. The vast majority of people who come there said, "Oh, I've never been here before." They start touring around the center. There's so many times where people start saying, "Oh, maybe I'll join, maybe I'll become a member," because that's what brings them in. And they realize that it's not this hidden club, that they can access the pool. And the pool is key, as
Wonderful.
we all know.
Thank you. That's my time. That's my time. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, this is our second call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445#. Before the close of the speakers list, the phone number will be displayed during the recess. We'll now hear from the public. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the speaker podium on the left. When it is your turn, the podium height can be adjusted using the controls on the right-hand side. Phone-in speakers will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Speakers will have up to 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Clerk, do we have any speakers in the chamber or online?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, go right ahead.
Thank you.
I need your name and whether you live in the city of Vancouver.
My name is Diego Mandelbaum. I live in North Vancouver, but I work in the city of Vancouver.
Okay, thank you. Go right ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I want to voice my very strong support for this project, both as what I would consider myself a proud Vancouverite, a proud member of the Jewish community. But the reason I support this project beyond all of the social benefit that I think we've heard here today is because there's no better community center than one with community energy. And there's an infrastructure story here that this project can help unlock that people might not be very familiar with. So I'm the Chief Development Officer of a company called Corex. We develop, invest, and own district energy systems, low carbon ones, regulated by BC Utilities Commission. And when Oak Ridge Park down the road was first being conceptualized back in 2015, 2017, it was a long time ago, there was the new green building policy was coming out, and it was envisioned that Oak Ridge Park would be the anchor for a new low carbon district energy system that would provide low carbon energy for all of the Cambie corridor and the Oak Ridge area. I'm very proud to say that we've developed that system. We're a 50% owner of that system. So Oak Ridge Park actually has about 500 geothermal boreholes underneath, and it heats and cools that entire development. But the intention is to turn that into a true broader community asset that can serve the community around there and to expand that infrastructure so it gets beyond Oak Ridge Park. The Jewish Community Center would be the first potential expansion customer for that infrastructure. And what that unlocks is not just benefits for the Jewish Community Center to be sustainable, reliable, and low carbon, but it actually then unlocks piping in the street that can then serve all of the development around there. So whether it's Oak Ridge Transit Center or the other things that are coming down the pipeline, no pun intended, we then have the ability to serve them through the district energy system. And if we miss the opportunity with the Jewish Community Center, it's a very real possibility that that beautiful district energy system under Oak Ridge Park remains only to the servitude of Oak Ridge Park, and that would be a real tragedy. And so as you consider this, please consider the infrastructure and sustainability and climate action that can be accomplished by having the Jewish Community Center project go forward. So that's why I would like to voice my strong support for the project. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, any other speakers online or in the chamber? Okay. This is the third and final call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by the participant code 1061-445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. We'll now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Okay, so we'll resume the meeting. Clerk, do we have any speakers in the chamber online?
We do not.
Okay, very good. Seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comments received on this item since 5 p.m.?
There has not been.
Okay, council members, sorry. Do any council members need a, sorry. Oh, okay. Okay, seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now, clerk is, no, okay. I think my pages are mixed up here. Okay, seeing that there are no further comments received after 5 p.m., I'm now closing the receipt of public comments. Okay, does the applicant have any closing comment? I just said that, yeah, good. Does the applicant have any closing comments? Shakes her head. Does staff have any closing comments?
Just a reminder that there's a yellow memo attached to this report.
Very good. Does council have any final questions for staff, noting that no additional questions to the applicant are permitted? Okay. Thanks very much. Okay, yeah, that's great. Okay, I'm just, so did we, Clerk, did we receive any additional public comments since the close of public comment?
We have not.
Okay, very good. All right. I'll remind council that we need to move the recommendation for item 1 together with the yellow memorandum dated July 10th, 2026, entitled Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD1 285 Amendment 940 to 950 West 41st Jewish Community Center. Council considerations when amending an ODP and change of ownership. Council will now make its decision on this application. So we have a mover and a seconder for this. Okay, council members, is there any further discussions? Okay, Councillor Kirby Young.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciated the presentation. It's an interesting one to have just after council finished approving our 4-year capital plan this afternoon. So it's sort of an interesting parallel with how challenging it is to deliver community infrastructure in the current cost environment. And this one is pretty significant in terms of utilizing and leveraging a site for multiple purposes, including delivering housing and partnering with a nonprofit to ensure some of those units provide what I anticipate and understand to be growing affordability over time, but in conjunction with a rebuild of the community center that has a pool. We have a shortage of those in the city. I'm excited by the vision to daylight the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center and give it more prominence. And additionally, the childcare, and then I think integrating King David High School into sort of truly a community campus, if I can use that terminology, I think is an exciting vision. I know that the community has been at this for some time. It has been a while. I've gone through a couple of text amendments, I think. You start to lose a bit of track, but it's been almost a decade, I think, since the early approvals, and that's a bit of a long haul. So I suspect that the community is excited and eager and anxious to get going on this one. I do think that it's going to provide a security of a sense of roots and connection for the community. And the integrated nature of that is I think, a really good vision. It is great to sort of see the opportunity to take care of people, whether it's people that needing more affordability in the housing side, whether it's provision for seniors and kids. And when you can bring all those different uses together, I think that that is quite something. I do remember a lot of conversations in the early days as to why you do not build parking under community facilities like that, which is sad that we have to contemplate that, but it is an important consideration, obviously, specifically for this particular community. So I am happy to support it. I did ask the questions earlier about the terminology because it is distinct and different than what we normally receive, but I also know the partners involved in this, both the organizations and the individuals associated with it. And I know that their purpose is very much driven by supporting community. And so I have trust in terms of the desire to support that affordability. And I actually have to say that I'm sure that there have been lots and lots of hours of meetings around financials and logistics in order to make this project work over time, and how that works in terms of the phasing and levering that. So there's a practicality, obviously, to doing the community center first. There's a desire to rebuild that part first, but that also financially places some very real impacts in terms of how the money actually flows to move that forward. So I'm not unaware of those considerations, but I do really appreciate the heavy lifting that has been done by everybody, and also the partnership with staff in recognizing that this is a unique community organization that is trying to do good, I think, for its community. But it's also, quite frankly, in my experience, been very welcoming to all Vancouverites and to others outside of that. So I am pleased to lend my support to it, and I look forward to actually seeing something come to fruition. It will be an exciting day. Thank you.
Thanks very much. I'm just going to update the queue here, move to the main queue. So main queue. Okay. Councillor Meisner.
Yeah, thank you. As my colleague, Councillor Kirby-Young mentioned, long road, I'm sure. And, but I think, it's resulted in a great outcome, and sometimes, taking the long way can yield great results. So I think there's a lot of benefits to this development. I'll just list a few that I wrote down. 630 rental units, no displacement, amazing transit-friendly location, close to not just the, revitalized and rebuilt amenities that are going to be on the site, like the JCC and the aquatic facilities and the high school and the Holocaust Education Center, but also all the great amenities at Oak Ridge Park that are close by. That are going to be opening soon, including the library, the community center, the new public park on top of that shopping center. So I think this is a very appropriate development for the site and how that area is changing. And of course, the brand new JCC that's going to be built there as well. So I wholeheartedly support this project, and I'm very grateful that you're doing this and bringing it forward for the community and for all Vancouverites. It's been mentioned several times tonight that everyone's welcome, and I know that to be true, as you've welcomed me many times. So I'm very much supportive of this. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Dominato.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to the applicants and the JCC and staff for all the work on this. I'm going to keep my comments brief because my colleagues have really touched on all the benefits that come from this project. Simply to say that I'm incredibly supportive. I also acknowledge it has been a long road. And at the end of the day, the JCC has been a real center for the Jewish community, but it also has been a center for the broader residents of Vancouver, and it will continue to do so into the future. And so it really is a win-win. And so I'm going to leave my comments there in the interest of time. We have a very long night ahead of us, but very pleased to see this come forward and happy to support it.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Zhou.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Also, 100% support this amazing project. I think in the past 4 years, we had multiple conversations about this project. Finally, to see this application come to council at the end of the council is really fantastic. Yeah, so also I think it's more than just housing. It's about ensuring one of Vancouver's most important community institution can continue serving the generations to come. The Jewish community, as we all know, is a cornerstone of our city for decades. It is much more than just a building, the Jewish Community Center. It's a place where the families gather, seniors stay active, children learn, cultural traditions are celebrated, and the community connection are built. I've been there many times, so I've learned so many good things from the community. It is also a very important organization about including the Vancouver Holocaust Education Center. So every time I go there, my heart really heavy. So I think we should just really preserve that new education for generations to come. And also, this proposal will deliver a modern, expanded Jewish community center with a theater, aquatic center, fitness facility, youth and senior space, art and cultural programming, childcare, community gathering space. It has everything we need and has everything I like about this new proposal. And also deliver, we talk about the housing, 630 purpose-built rental housing, and also non-profit housing as well. And also this location makes sense. We need to add more density in this particular location. It's a walking distance from the Canada Line, frequent transit, and also rapidly evolving Oak Ridge Town Center and surrounding by the neighborhood. It's equally important that we invest in community infrastructure and support the growth in our city. And also one perspective I want to acknowledge because of the significant investment at a time when Jewish community around the world have experienced a rise in anti-Semitism. So supporting this renewal of Jewish Community Center sends a very clear message that Vancouver values inclusion, diversity, and the contribution that Jewish community has made and continue to make in our city. So yeah, so with that, 100% support this application. I can't wait to see the grand opening. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Bly.
Yeah, thanks very much. I just really want to say congratulations. This is exciting. There are, as was pointed out, by the applicant, very few projects where all of the benefits are delivered first. So, which is why I had to clarify many times, I felt, actually, just to make sure I was reading this correctly. So, yeah, I can feel, and I remember my first meeting with Karen, actually, in an office not too far from here in City Hall, talking about this project. And again, so we do get the honor of sitting in these chambers for many, many, many hours. And sometimes we see projects as they come through the different iterations. And so I can feel the excitement and the pride and the enthusiasm from the applicant. And I'm sure it's felt broadly in the community for finally being able to break ground on this project and get going. So, and I'll just say too, that as someone and also this council supported faith-based land redevelopment, this is really what it's about. It's recognizing stewards in our city that have cared for the lands that they own and have Title II, and what they can do with it to benefit the community, and whether it's housing or whether it's a full complete package here. Our job as a city is to work with those land owners to make sure that they can provide and really set a vision, achieve those goals, and provide the benefit back to the community that they see is fit and that they see matters. And our job is to help make that happen. So, a little shout out to faith-based land redevelopment is an effort that I know our staff continue to work on, and is something that I think is a huge opportunity for our city. So, congrats to everybody here, and thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. That completes the item here, so or the discussion. So a reminder that any council member participating virtually whose video is disabled will be marked absent for the vote pursuant to Section 1413 of the Procedure Bylaw. I'm now going to call the vote. Clerk, can you take us to the voting screen? And that passes with Councillor Fry and Mayor Sim absent today. Congratulations. Okay, we will now move on to item 2 on our agenda, the Vancouver ODP Amendment CD1 rezoning 809 West 41st Avenue. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to disclose? The clerk will now read the application and a summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by Arnaud Matisse Architecture for the site at 809 West 41st Avenue to change the generalized land use designation in the Vancouver Official Development Plan from mixed-use low-rise to mixed-use high-rise 2, and to amend CD-1 Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 32-story mixed-use building containing 305 rental units with 20% of the residential floor area for below-market rental units, commercial space that allows for a childcare facility, office space, and commercial space on the ground floor. A floor space ratio of 14.32 and a height of 102.2 meters are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation and the Yellow Memorandum dated July 10th, 2026, entitled Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD-1 Rezoning for 809 West 41st Avenue, Council considerations when amending an ODP. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. One piece of correspondence in support and 2 pieces of correspondence in opposition. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today. Correspondence is presented as submitted and may include multiple or duplicate entries.
Thanks very much. This is the first call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445#. Before the close of the speakers list, phone number will be displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application.
Good evening again, Acting Mayor and Council. I'm also the rezoning planner on this file as well. My name is Simon J. And this is an rezoning application for 809 West 41st Avenue. Again, staff would like to note that there's a yellow memo attached to this project that provides additional information about the ODP amendment. The site outlined in red is located on the northwest side of 41st Avenue at Willow Street. It is currently developed with a two-story office building known as the Oakmont Medical Center. As already shown with the previous item, the surrounding area is undergoing significant change. The Oak Ridge Center is currently being built and is a multi-tower development with heights up to 52 stories. To the north of the Oak Ridge Center is approved R51 rezoning, allowing multiple towers up to 26 stories. Council just considered and approved the JCC rezoning across the street for 39 and 37 stories. And adjacent to 809 West 41st is the former Oak Ridge Transit Center, which has an active rezoning application proposing multiple towers up to 33 stories. Under the Vancouver Official Development Plan, the site is currently designated as mixed-use low-rise. An amendment to the ODP to change the designation is required to support this proposal. The change is to mixed-use high-rise 2. This proposal is being considered under the Oak Ridge Transit Center and adjacent sites policy statement. The OTC policy statement provides direction for a residential or mixed-use building up to 6 stories and 2 to 2.5 FSR. Staff note that the neighborhood and the policy context have changed significantly since the OTC policy statement was approved in 2015. The proposal is also being considered under the TOA rezoning policy. The site is within Tier 3 of the Oak Ridge 41st Avenue Station TOA, which enables 8 stories and 3 FSR. The TOA policy also requires a minimum of 20% below market rental, or BMR, and no net loss of commercial space. The proposal amends CD 134 to develop a 32-story, 102-meter tall tower with a density of 14.32 FSR. It includes 305 rental units with 20% BMR. And it also includes replacement commercial space in the form of ground floor retail, private childcare, and office space. Under the Vancouver Charter, consultation opportunities must be provided for persons, organizations, and authorities affected by an ODP amendment. Council directed staff to consult with the VSP, CSF, the Musqueam Indian Band, Squamish Nation, and Tsleil-Waututh Nation. The VSB noted there are capacity shortages anticipated at the catchment schools, Jameson Elementary and Hamber Secondary. The VSB employs several strategies to mitigate enrollment pressures, including reducing out-of-catchment enrollment, relocating district choice programs, adjusting catchment boundaries, undertaking renovations, and deploying portables. No comments were received from other groups by the end of the consultation period. During the public engagement period for the rezoning application, support was expressed for the increased rental housing and a good location close to transit, shops, and services. Concerns were related to building height and density and neighborhood livability. Staff have the following responses to the concerns. The neighborhood is currently changing towards a high-rise, transit-oriented area, and the height and density of this proposal fits this emerging context. The project is well served by transit, and it is not anticipated that this project will put additional pressure on either traffic or street parking in the area. Again, staff acknowledge the high level of construction in the area and that construction will continue to be seen for the foreseeable future. The anticipated public benefits from this project is $3.65 million, which is approximately $3.17 million in DCLs and $480,000 in public art. Other public benefits include 305 rental units with 20% BMR. The proposed land use, form of development, and public benefits are generally consistent with the emerging context of the area and the intent of existing policies. Therefore, staff support this application subject to conditions contained in the report. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Would the applicant like to present the application? If they are in attendance online?
Yes, good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. Arno Mattis, architect applicant. We will waive any presentation, but we will be happy to answer any questions. And with that, I'd also like to introduce Ian O'Donnell, who's with us today from Alberta, who's representing Westridge Pacific, the developer for the project. Do you want to say a few words, Ian?
Good evening, and thank you so much for having us. We could not be more excited to be bringing our first rezoning to the City of Vancouver. And while we have a project around the corner in DPBP 39th Granville, this will be our first significant project potentially in the City of Vancouver, and we're incredibly excited to be investing in Vancouver and bringing a mixture of housing and other amenities to the area. And we are builders. We do not sit on land. We actively build and have over 1,500 units under construction across Canada in many major markets. So looking forward to any questions you may have, and just really excited to be in the City of Vancouver and bringing this project forward.
Thanks very much. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant, noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant? Okay, I'm not seeing anybody on the queue. This is the second call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. We'll now hear from the public. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the speaker podium on the left when it is your turn. This podium height may be adjusted using the controls on the right-hand side. Phone-in speakers will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Speakers will have up to 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments on the merits of the report being considered. Our first registered speaker, number 1, is Daniel Thiel. Is Daniel present?
Speaker number 1 is not present, Chair.
Okay, then we have speaker number 2 on the phone, Nathan Davidovitz.
Well,
Nathan, are you there? Nathan? Nathan, are you there? Okay, we have not seen Nathan nor Daniel. Okay, if there are any additional speakers in the podium.
hello?
Oh, there you are. Hello, Nathan. Go ahead, you got 3
I'm
minutes.
trying to talk and I can't hear. It's so noisy. Yeah.
Okay, go right ahead, Nathan.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Chair and members of council. Yeah, I support the transit-oriented development of the provincial government, but just one block south at 42nd and Willow, the city planning department approved a townhouse complex instead of a rental apartment. So we have to be consistent. Within a certain distance of the station, we have to provide rental apartments, not market townhouses. the problem with this site is it's part of the bigger huge site bounded by 41st to 37th and Willow Street to Oak Street, which is probably about 16 acres. And this is done separately instead of doing the whole site properly at one time, and splitting it into different parcels just doesn't make any sense from planning perspective and from the way things are done. And just hold on a second here. The traffic report that was produced for the Oak Ridge Transit Center development, it's the 250 pages, admit that there is going to be very bad congestion. It'd be like downtown Vancouver at 41st and Oak, or even worse, and the whole corridor, Oak Street and 41st. I mean, there's an accident every week. There's at least one accident, especially on Oak Street, and it's just going to get worse if the development is not done properly. And as I said, it's not properly done because it's just one parcel out of all big 16-acre site, and that's what the problems are. And as Councillor Orr pointed out, there is no 24/7 bus service on Oak Street. There isn't one on 41st Avenue. When you have such a dense number of people, you have to provide 24/7 bus service. Otherwise, people will not going to use the bus all the time. And when they buy a monthly pass, they want to use it every day, 24/7. There is also the 3 schools along Willow Street, 33rd, 37th, and 41st. And, there's lots of traffic there, and we need proper traffic signals, not push-button signals, but regular traffic signals all around that area, as was pointed out in the Heatherland 350-page traffic report, and nothing has been done. So we have to mitigate many things to get proper mitigation for the whole area and for Oak Street and 41st. So that's many problems, and unless they are being done, we're going to have big problems in this whole corridors. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Sorry, Chair, your mic's not on if you're talking.
Oh, no, I can. My mic is on. Can you hear me?
I got you now. Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead, Clerk.
Just checking if there are additional speakers on the line. No additional speakers on the line.
Okay, this is the third and final call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061-445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. We will now take a short recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Okay, Clerk, do we have any speakers in the chamber on the line?
We do not.
Seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comment received since this item, since 5 p.m.?
There has not been.
I am now closing the receipt of public comments. Seeing that there are few or no public comments received after 5 p.m., I am now closing the receipt of public comments. Does the applicant have any closing comments?
No closing comments. Thank you.
Does staff have any closing comments?
Just a reminder, there's a yellow memo attached to this item.
Okay. Does council have any final questions for staff, noting no additional questions to the applicant are permitted? Clerk, did we receive any additional public comments since the close of public comment?
We have not.
I remind council that we need to move the recommendations for item 2 together with the yellow memorandum dated July 10th, 2026, entitled Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD1 Rezoning, 809 West 41st Avenue, council considerations when amending ODP. Council will now make its decision on this application. Do we have a mover for the recommendation and yellow memos? Seconder, thank you very much. Sorry? Joe and Dominato, thank you very much. Council members, any discussion? Okay, seeing none, just a reminder that any council member participating virtually whose video is disabled will be marked absent for the vote pursuant to section 1413 of the procedure bylaw. I'm now going to call the vote. Clerk, can you please take us to the voting screen? Okay, so that passes with all present. Thanks very much. All right.
Thank you very much.
That completes item 2. Thank you. Okay, we're now moving on to item 3. Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD1 Rezoning, 1683 to 1691 East Pender Street and 485 Commercial Drive. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict of interest to disclose? Councillor Meisner?
Yes, I need to declare a conflict due to a close personal relationship with someone employed by the applicant.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll see you later then. Okay, the clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by Cressy East Pender Development LLP for the site at 1683 to 1691 East Pender Street and 485 Commercial Drive to change the generalized land use designation in the Vancouver Official Development Plan for a portion of the lands to residential high-rise 1 and to rezone MC-1 industrial and CD-1 comprehensive development district to permit the development of 2 buildings, including a 21 residential rental building containing 236 rental units with a total floor area of 14,326 square meters and a height of 67.5 meters, and a 6-story mixed-use building containing 40 social housing units and a social service center with a total floor area of 3,585 square meters and a height of 22.4 meters. The rezoning application proposes to subdivide the site to allow for the 2 buildings to have separate ownership and develop independently. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation and the yellow memorandum dated July 10th, 2026, entitled Vancouver ODP Amendment and CD-1 Rezoning for 1683 to 1691 East Pender Street and 485 Commercial Drive. Council considerations when amending an ODP and replacement of engineering conditions. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. 36 pieces of correspondence in support, 16 pieces of correspondence in opposition, and 1 piece of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today. Correspondence is presented as submitted and may include multiple or duplicate entries.
Okay, thanks very much. So this is the first call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application.
Good evening, Council. My name is Alison Smith, and I'm the rezoning planner presenting the ODP amendment and CD1 rezoning for 1683 to 1691 East Pender Street and 485 Commercial Drive. The subject site is composed of one parcel located in the Grandview Woodland neighborhood at the northwest corner of Commercial Drive and Pender Street. The site is currently vacant. The surrounding neighborhood consists of a mix of purpose-built rental and strata buildings, as well as commercial and industrial uses. The existing built form is primarily low to mid-rise forms, with some higher forms anticipated to be built in the area in the future. A number of existing social service centers and community and cultural spaces are concentrated in the area, including the existing Kettle Friendship Society facility on Venable Street and the Urban Native Youth Association and Vancouver Aboriginal Friendship Center on Hastings Street. The site has a split, generalized land use designation in the ODP of mixed-use mid-rise on the western portion of the site and mixed-use low-rise on the eastern portion of the site. Mixed-use mid-rise and mixed-use low-rise designations consists of mixed-use buildings with non-dwelling uses at the ground level and office or dwelling uses above, up to 12 and 6 stories respectively. The application proposes to change the GLU designation for a portion of the site to residential high-rise 1, which permits buildings of up to 26 stories. As the application proposes to change the GLU designation through an ODP amendment, a public hearing is required. The eastern portion of the site is designated Commercial Drive North in the plan, which permits 6 stories and a maximum density of 3 FSR. The western portion of the site is designated as the Pender Street Transition Area, which allows for up to 10 stories with a maximum density of 3.2 FSR. A minimum of 20% floor area of non-market housing is required in the Pender Street Transition Area. Section 7.1 of the plan aims to increase housing options for vulnerable community residents and to end homelessness, including by working with service providers to respond to the specialized housing needs of communities that are disproportionately at risk in the neighborhood housing market. The housing policies of the plan permit consideration of modest increases in height and density for delivery of non-market housing, including supportive housing, to assist with project viability subject to fit within the neighborhood context. Although originally envisioned for development at a different location during creation of the plan prioritizes the renewal and expansion of the Kettle Friendship Society facility with a minimum of 30 non-market supportive housing units. Proposal is for a 21-story residential rental building with 239 market rental units and a 6-story mixed-use building with a 2-story drop-in center and 40 social housing units in 4 floors above. The 40 social housing units would operate as supportive housing. The total site density is 7.78 FSR, which is in excess of what the plan envisioned. Staff are supportive of the increase in height and density to support the delivery of the social housing and drop-in center. Proposed development is a partnership between Cressy and the Kettle Friendship Society. If approved, a condition of enactment would require subdivision of the site. Cressy would retain ownership of the western portion of the site for the market rental tower and transfer ownership of the eastern portion of the site to Kettle. Kettle would own the subdivided east portion of the site and the drop-in center, while BC Housing would own the air rights to the social housing and grant a long-term lease with Kettle for the operation and management of the supportive housing units. Under the Vancouver Charter, consultations opportunities must be provided for persons, organizations, and authorities affected by an ODP amendment. Council directed staff to consult with the VSB, CSF, and the Musqueam Indian Band, Squamish Nation, and the Tsleil-Waututh Nation. The school board noted that there is continued surplus capacity at the site's catchment schools, both Admiral Seymour Elementary and Britannia Secondary School. No other comments were received from other groups by the end of the consultation period. Public support was expressed for new housing, both in the form of rental and social housing, as well as focusing density near to transit routes. Some respondents supported the proposed height, density, and massing at this location. Others noted that the development will replace an underutilized site with a project that improves and serves the neighborhood. Staff have the following responses for the concerns that were expressed. Firstly, in relation to the comments of excessive height, scale, and massing. The proposed height of the market tower does exceed the 10 stories contemplated in the plan. However, staff are supportive of this extra height in order to facilitate the delivery of the social housing and the drop-in center. Secondly, in response to the concern for over-concentration of social and supportive housing in this area, staff note that the plan does encourage new non-market housing in the neighborhood and that it is the city's goal to ensure that there is a range of affordable housing options in every neighborhood. Thirdly, in terms of pressure on amenities, traffic, and infrastructure, staff note that the project includes an expanded social service center to benefit local community members. And staff are looking at strategies to respond to pressures on local services across the city's portfolio as part of capital planning reviews. In terms of neighborhood impact from the proposed social service center, staff note that the Kettle Friendship Society currently serves the neighborhood at their existing drop-in center location, and they're proposing a continuation of their services which benefit the community while also integrating housing at the new location. In response to concerns about the planning process, staff note that every project is reviewed based on its own merit. The total anticipated public benefits from this project is $2.7 million, including $0.3 million for public art and $2.4 million for DCLs. Other public benefits include the 40 social housing units, 236 rental housing units, and approximately 14,000 square feet for a social service center. In conclusion, the proposal meets the intent of the Grandview Woodland Community Plan, and staff support this application subject to conditions contained in the report. Please note that there is a yellow memo attached to the application, which has 2 items. The first relates to additional information that council must consider when amendments are made to the Vancouver ODP. And the second is to provide revised engineering conditions of approval in response to a request from the applicant after referral to separate the services agreement conditions for the 2 future proposed land parcels. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The applicant is present. Would they like to present? Thanks very much.
Good evening. My name is Julian Kendall. I'm Vice President of Development at Cressy Development Group, and I'm pleased to be here on behalf of the project team. And since staff just did a great job of summarizing the application already, I'll just do a short introduction and then turn it over to a representative from Kettle to highlight some of the work they currently do in the community and the programming intended for their portion of the project. Cressy is a local family-owned real estate company focused on developing, owning, and operating real estate with a long-term ownership approach to rental housing. Cressy currently owns and operates 9 rental buildings in the Grandview Woodlands neighborhood alone. We have been working closely with Kettle for over 3 years now on this project and have a great amount of respect for the work that they do in the community. Both Kettle and Cressy have deep roots in the Grandview Woodland neighborhood, each with over 50 years of history here. That shared local experience allows us to bring a thoughtful, practical, and respectful approach to delivering this project to the community. As proud long-term owners, both Cressy and Kettle are invested not only in our buildings, but also in the communities around them. We work hard to ensure each project is a good neighbor and a positive addition to the community, as reflected in the long-standing track records of both organizations. If approved, this project will deliver 40 supportive housing units, 100% of which will be at shelter rates, plus an expanded 14,000 square foot social services drop-in center, all in a self-contained building to be owned and operated by the Kettle. This building represents 20% of the floor area for the overall project. In the tower, there will be 236 secured rental units, all of which will meet the Class B DCL waiver rents, which are significantly more affordable than market rents in the city. This building will be owned and operated long-term by Cressy. The existing property, which is over half an acre in size, is sitting completely clear of any buildings, meaning there will be no tenant displacement. This project would allow the currently underused property to contribute much-needed rental housing, supportive housing, and social services space to the community. Both Cressy and Kettle are extremely proud of the project we've proposed for consideration this evening and are confident we have the expertise to deliver the project in a timely manner and to ensure it will be managed responsibly over the long term, resulting in a lasting value for the neighborhood at large. I'd now like to introduce Janet, you're speaking. Janet Smith from Kettle, just to say a few words.
Julian. Okay. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Janet Smith, and I am here in my role as Director of Housing and Real Estate on behalf of the Kettle Society, proposing the redevelopment of 485 Commercial Drive. I am joined this evening by Michelle Jerome, who is the Director of Community Services. We are very proud to be partnering with Cressy Developments to bring this project forward and create a much-needed homes and services here in the Grandview Woodlands community. Together, we are working to deliver a purpose-built community asset that combines the Kettle's decades of frontline mental health, housing, and community service experience and thoughtful redevelopment capacity. The Kettle has been located in the community for 50 years. Our reputation has been built through decades of intentional operations, strong relationships, and a clear understanding that we are responsible not only to the people who come through our doors, but also to our neighbors, businesses, and the public spaces around us. The need this project responds to is not theoretical, and it is not new. Our current building is aging, overcrowded, and no longer adequate for the level of demand we are seeing. Demand has increased by 15% this year alone and has grown by 50% since 2020. When the redevelopment is complete, our current drop-in will close and relocate 3 blocks away. The people we serve and services we provide will remain in the community. What will change is our ability to respond to the growing demand in the facility that is larger, safer, and purpose-built for today's needs. The building will be purpose-built with community safety in mind. Features such as separate entrances, part storage, improved sight lines, better circulation, and enhanced staff oversight directly addresses concern raised by neighbors and operational challenges we face today in a building that was never designed for this level of demand. The project also brings supported housing and community services together under one roof, which reflects the Kettle's long-standing belief that housing and support must be delivered together for people to achieve long-term stability. Kettle on the Drive will include 40 self-contained subsidized homes connected to wraparound supports, relationships, and community services that help people stabilize and stay housed. The co-location model has several important benefits. One of the most significant is the supported housing will be staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, providing ongoing presence and added oversight on the block during the times when the drop-in is closed. It also creates opportunities for stronger connections to support, where when tenants or their guests need assistance, they can be connected directly to the drop-in, helping them access the resources and the support they need to improve stability and well-being. The Kettle is well positioned to operate this housing. We currently operate more than 400 homes across the continuum that includes licensed care, enhanced care, supported housing, portable subsidies, and transitional housing. By spring 2027, that number will grow to more than 500 homes as we expand our portfolio to include complex care. Our mental health model is built around strong staffing, wraparound support, advocacy, health connections, and early interventions. We are equally committed to strong operations and accountability. This project will be supported by upfront investment in staffing, including 24/7 on-staff coverage for the housing, trained mental health workers throughout the drop-in, 365 days a year. We will be implementing our Good Neighbor policy, which we take great pride in at all of our housing sites. We have a posted number that people can contact for urgent concerns. We maintain clear complaint and issue resolution processes, and we form a community advisory committee so neighbors, local businesses, partners, and the Kettle have a regular forum to share information, track concerns, and work together through solutions so all of the community is partnering together. This project is a practical investment in the future of this community. It will improve the capacity, accessibility, and the safety of our drop-in, while adding much-needed supported housing connected to services people need to succeed. Kettle on the Drive will give us the space, staffing, and tools to respond more effectively to the needs that already exist in the neighborhood. We respectfully ask Council to support this project so the kettle can continue serving the Grandview Woodland for decades to come. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thanks very much. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant, noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant? Councilor Dominato.
Thanks, Chair. And yeah, thank you for the presentations. I did have a question for the applicant. Just given the immense need for the drop-in space, during construction, would you be able to keep the existing space open and then transition to the new space after? I'm just curious at what discussions have taken place around keeping the existing space open while the new building's under construction.
The space we're in right now, BOFO is interested in purchasing it, and they will allow us to stay there so we can directly move from there into our new space without any disturbance in service.
Okay, that's fantastic. That's great to hear. And I'm curious, just a question for staff, just with respect to, I think what I heard the applicant say was that the 40 units represents roughly 20% of the floor plan of the entire site. Is that correct?
The drop-in center and the 40 social housing units make up 20% of the floor area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have for questions right now. Thanks.
Is Councilor Orr?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for the presentation. Having recently toured Kettle, I can attest, that they definitely need a bigger space. My question is more around, I guess this one sentence: the cost to develop the social housing and social service center building will be solely the responsibility of Kettle. I suppose I'm not sure who I'm asking. Perhaps maybe Kettle, or maybe the applicant, around what does that look like in terms of what funding has already been secured for that to make that happen. I'm just sort of thinking, we approve this and some, heaven forbid, some funding falls through from senior levels of government or whatever, and then now we just have the market component and an empty site. So just wondering, I know that if Kettle doesn't take ownership, there's a clause in there that it does go to another nonprofit, but that's not my question. It's just more around the funding that has already sort of been secured.
It's magically got lower. Thank you for your question. Basically, our first goal will be get through rezoning. We've already been working with BC Housing for about a little over 2 years on the site. We're already quite a ways through some of the development permit design work. Our project hasn't been canceled under the supported housing with BC Housing. It's been put on a temporary pause. And we have full confidence through the discussions that we're still having that once the ownership takes place, we'll be able to negotiate a deal. And we've already started the quiet phase of our capital campaign, and we've already raised significant money for that. Once it's rezoned and the ownership transfer happens, it makes everything a lot easier because it's kind of almost hearsay at this point. Yeah. So we're fully confident that the funds will be able to be raised, and that we've been planning it for a decade. So, yeah.
I remember the old site too as well. It's been a long time coming, and that's good to hear that that's going through. And yeah, we've heard that through a few different rezonings where this process has to happen, and then we can continue on. So thank you for that. That's all my questions.
Thanks, Councilor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks. Just a couple of quick clarification questions. So, you mentioned the old site is very constrained. I think you've been at this for some time for that reason. So how comfortable are you that the size and the footprint of the new space is going to serve you well into the future?
We've actually worked on this quite in detail. The current drop-in is about 6,000 square feet. The other one that we were looking at last time go around, we were looking at about 12,000.
Yeah, I was here for that.
And we have actually done quite a lot of discussions with all the teams and looking at looking at what we perceive as what we're going to need in the future. So we've actually put in about a 20% buffer, 25% buffer for growth, even past the 5 years of what we're planning for in our strategic plan for the next 5.
Okay.
So we feel the 14,000 is quite significant.
Okay, because that represents more than a twofold increase in what you have now, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then with respects to sort of the land transfer, I guess with respects to the achievability of the social housing component and the pacing and working with BC Housing, with the repacing of a lot of projects by the provincial government, kind of following up on the previous question, what are your dependencies? Like if that funding doesn't come through, then do you wait to build in terms of phasing this? Can you proceed with building the center, or what does that look like?
No, the what we're working on right now that we've been working on for a while, we're not actually been in negotiations with BC Housing under any formal proposal call. So we're working directly with them doing the supported housing and having ownership of the site.
Because of the air parcel.
Yeah, so if we're fully confident, like I just met with them last week, I'm fully confident that once we have ownership, a deal will be being made because they're still very interested in supported housing. We were able to get the rezoning through supported housing. And we do have, though, a backup opportunity that I don't really want to talk about now, but we do have a backup opportunity to be able to develop the supported housing if BC Housing does not come to the table.
Okay.
But I'm fully confident they will.
Okay. Do you have any sense of how long before, if this were to be approved, before you could actually commence constructing the new center?
Well, we're hoping that all of the finalizing will be done soon after the reenactment of the rezoning, because we want to start moving on the DP right away.
Okay, so that is your intention, just
Yes.
to proceed
Immediately
expeditiously to
Yeah.
the next steps? Okay. All right, that's it for me right now. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Okay, this is the second call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061-445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. We'll now hear from the public. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the public speaker podium on the left when it is your turn. The podium height can be adjusted using the controls on the right-hand side. Phone-in speakers will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Speakers will have up to 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Our first registered speaker, number 1, is Arno Kopecki. Is Arno present? Hi, Arno. Just go to this podium here, please, and just adjust it for your height. There's a control on the right-hand side.
Here. All right. Thank you, council, all of you, for listening. And I know you guys have long days and nights these days. My name is Arno Kopecki. I live next door to the proposed tower at 1647 East Pender. It's a 10-unit townhouse complex. I'm the strata president. We are opposed to this project for a couple of reasons. But I do want to say, first of all, that I appreciate the city is grappling with a bunch of emergencies, particularly housing, mental health. I'm super sympathetic to those issues. I am an environmental journalist myself and have written extensively about the need for densifying cities. I know there are a number of reasons to do so: environmental, social, providing housing, making it affordable. My feeling, and I think I speak for my entire strata, is that somewhere between, we live in a 5-story townhouse complex. Somewhere between 5 and 22 stories is perhaps a reasonable medium that isn't quite as extreme. This 22-story tower is more than twice as tall as the Grandview Woodland plan had envisioned. That was a plan that people spent years developing. I've lived here for 10 years, so that Grandview Woodland plan, I sort of moved into it. It would, the impact of this tower on, Commercial Drive is a pretty special place in this city. We are at the northern gateway to it. I feel that this would have an immense, not just aesthetic impact, although that is real. It would also impact, the amenities, that it would shade out a whole bunch of houses. It would really sort of restructure the whole architecture of that neighborhood. I'm also aware that 2 towers have already been approved. I believe one yesterday, just north of us on Hastings. So perhaps that's an argument in some people's eyes. Well, there's already 2 in there. Why not 1 more? I would argue perhaps maybe there has to be a limit somewhere. So that's, as far as the tower itself going in, that's sort of our concern. Is just, I guess you can imagine what it would feel like for a 22-story tower to go in right next door to you, where no towers currently exist. I do feel that there's an element of exploiting a social need. I have immense respect for the people who run Kettle and the good work that Kettle Society is doing. I have immense sympathy for the people who are living on our streets and have, housing issues, mental health issues, addiction issues. I support helping them in any way possible. It feels to me like Cressy is cashing in on an opportunity to build a tower that is again, more than twice as tall as was envisioned in the original zoning plan. It's not entirely clear that Kettle Society is going to be able to build this and to come up with the funds, as a couple of your questions alluded to. I hope they can find a home. I know it's been a long struggle for them. Our neighborhood and our unit is also grappling right now with the Lookout Society that just shifted operations across the alleyway from our place. So they took over from the Friendship Society, had been running an overnight shelter up until very recently. And then a couple months ago, Lookout Society moved in, turned it into a 24/7 shelter, low barrier. So that has turned our neighborhood into just an open drug use zone. I know, Councillor Klassen, I believe you've been to the site. You've communicated with my neighbor Paul. I believe Councillor Meisner has as well. We're pretty concerned. I have a 10-year-old daughter, and I can't let her outside of our house without supervision. If we open the windows, we hear people screaming. There's paraphernalia, people using everything right outside, people passed out in the alleyway. It's been a really dramatic difference. I don't know how much of that is Lookout Society's fault versus the city's fault. I'm not trying to cast blame, really, but we are kind of want to implore whoever's in charge, if you want us to support these kinds of projects, you'll need, I guess we're begging you to provide some patrols that could keep the alleyway clean and safe. People are defecating in our doorways. Like I said, screaming at all hours of the day and night. Groups of people huddled around using. Again, I don't want to vilify folks who are in crisis. I see I have 12 seconds left, but it does not give me or us immense confidence in more of this stuff coming into our neighborhood. We're worried about being engulfed by more shelters, and the tower feels like it's a part of that. That's my 5 minutes, so I'll let it go.
Thanks very much. Okay. Our next speaker is Nolana Greaves. So you are listed as a representative. Do you have 3 other people with you?
2 were able to attend and the other one couldn't. So they're sitting over here.
Got 2 here?
Yep.
And 1 online?
Yes.
Okay.
Question though, I had a late submission for my presentation and I'm wondering if council would consider suspending the rules so that I can present. The clerk does have my presentation.
Present a digital file?
It's a PDF.
Yeah. Are you going to speak to it?
Yes.
On the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just check with the clerk. I'm afraid that looks like it was submitted late, so I'm going to get you to try and be as descriptive as possible in the 8 minutes, and we'll start now.
Okay. My name is Nolena Greaves. I am the Strata President at 1588 East Hastings, the Bohem, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself, AJ Prasad, Jennifer Chu, and Wendy Maynard, who are all part of the Strata Council. I am a resident of Vancouver and I oppose this application. I support affordable housing. I do not support concentrating the impacts into one neighborhood without proper planning. I had pictures on my presentation of the Hastings bus stop that is consistently used as a public space for defecation, hanging out, drug use, part of the city's public transportation with a lot of foot traffic. We've raised significant concerns of the decline of public safety, livability, and emergency services that are happening in this area. I had pulled the Freedom of Information from the emergency response services, and 1,113 emergency medical responses from 2022 to 2025, with 686 transported to the hospital. It was a 62% increase. BC Emergency Health Services data confirm that the immediate area surrounding the proposed development is experiencing high concentration of emergency medical responses in East Hastings, reinforcing residents' concerns regarding public safety, emergency demand, and neighborhood livability. The highest response for calls is 180, and they are for overdoses. I had a graph with some of that. I also had some pictures to show the neighborhood concerns, which is broken cars, biohazards, fires, consistently fires in the neighborhood. There's many things here that we are trying to address, and I think the bigger issue is that the growth has to match the municipal services. Street cleaning, graffiti removal, coordination of emergency community services, monitoring the neighborhood livability. Good planning is not only about approving new development, but also about ensuring the municipal services, infrastructure, and neighborhood livability grow alongside it. While I recognize that not all services are delivered by the city, the council is responsible for land use planning and decisions about where growth and social services are located. Those decisions should be accompanied by appropriate municipal infrastructure, coordinated support from provincial partners. I did pull the records on the FOI from Shape Your City, and there was 69.3% that were opposed to have the project built on this site. And when we talk about incremental growth, you have approved 561 approved affordable housing units over this last little bit. The Place of Cedar has 191. The Indigenous Social Housing has up to 150. And then the 800 commercial has 180. If you put 239 units plus 40 units, that's 840 units. That's not incremental. Part of the Grandview Woodland Plan would be to be incremental. Approving the application risks placing additional demand to a neighborhood that is already experiencing significant pressure on public safety, emergency services, infrastructure, and overall livability. I did hear the staff talk about an industrial area, but if you pull up the pictures for where this site is to be placed, there are homes there, townhomes across from this building that's going to block the light for them. In addition to that, it is a proposed height that is not within the woodland plan. It doesn't sit within the character of the community. It's excessive. And like I said before, you already have approved 500 and some. Now you're looking at approving more to have 840 units in a 3 radius block. And with the social service center, it does include what I read is a nurse, a bank, an advocacy department, a support and employment groups. And I do like that they address that there is wraparound services, but there's other questions that we have, such as security, access to buildings, and how will social service be managed with visitors and outdoors? What good neighboring agreements will there be in place, because there's none today? As you heard from Arno, we are living in the same community and we're suffering, and we don't feel like we have the supports. We have talked to the Lookout Society and they do not have enough staff to mandate this. When I look at the cumulative impacts, is the neighborhood infrastructure, roads and sidewalks all the way around all blocks, not just in that corner block, but on 1500 block where we live, going to be supported? And the buses that are going to be used, is that going to be supportive? So is the level of concentration, is what I'd like to know, consistent with the city's policies on equitable distribution of housing and services across Vancouver? And then I ask about public safety. Before approving or amendment to official development plan, a significant increase in density, can council confirm that has been provided with a comprehensive assessment of the cumulative impacts on public safety, emergency services, infrastructure, and neighborhood livability? Because livability is a core principle planning of the City of Vancouver's healthy city strategy. And what I see today is that the livability has been dismissed by staff in reports, that 506 already approved social housing has been put in place. We have not seen a report on cumulative impacts, and the evidence-based planning, what assessment demonstrates livability, been considered that this is required of the healthy city strategy. And if livability is a core principle of Vancouver's planning framework, I respectfully ask council to demonstrate how the livability of this neighborhood has been protected in making these recommendations. In my presentation, it shows the public safety police reporting from 2025 to 2026, and also the emergency services that are overburdened. I personally can speak to this because I hear the sirens every day. So I respectfully request for council to oppose the rezoning application and request the following to be reviewed prior to approvals: a comprehensive cumulative neighborhood impact assessment, a public safety emergency service assessment, an infrastructure and municipal services capacity, and demonstrate that the proposal is consistent with the city's commitment to livability of the Healthy City Strategy and Grandview Woodland Plan, a clear plan showing how municipal and provincial services will support existing and future residents. And that's my ask. And I leave this on stating that it disheartens me that I have to sell my home because of the livability that I'm living in, and my psychological health and safety has taken a dive. I'm not medically equipped to deal with drug overdose every day, cleaning up human. Thank you for your time today. Let you know that I am moving out of the neighborhood because of this.
Before you finish, Councillor Montague is on the queue. Councillor, I think you might have a question.
Yeah, it's actually just a point of personal privilege, I guess. I know the rules prevent the presentation of the PowerPoint, but if the clerk does have it, I was wondering if the clerk could either email it to council, and if that's not possible, if staff could just go to the speaker and show her how to email it directly to council while we listen to other speakers.
Thanks. Yeah, we've been talking about making sure that we can get a copy of that distributed, but
I did send it.
well, Kevin,
as
can you
comment.
just let us know?
Thanks for the question, Councillor Montague. The speaker can submit the item through correspondence because public comments have not been closed yet for this item, so we will have a staff person come and assist them with that.
I did.
That would be better.
Thank you. It was
I
it
did
was already
submit it.
submitted? Okay,
Yes,
so it will be, if it was submitted as a public comment, was it submitted,
Yes, I called the clerk today,
Mhm.
and I apologize for putting in a late response. I work full-time and just lost track of time, and they emailed me back and said that I could submit it as a public comment.
Okay, so it
and
has
I
been
did.
received.
So it is in there, and it will show you the pictures and just the information that I went over today. And I thank you for your time. Thank you.
We'll do our best to make sure that it gets circulated to council. Thanks very much. Okay, very good. Thanks, Councillor. Any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Nadine Chambers, number 3.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead.
Great. Thank you. My name is Nadine Chambers. I am 5 years in East Van and 17 years a block away from this project. Slide 1, please, should be on screen. I'm not sure if it's there yet. I'm hoping it is. Can you confirm, please, before my clock begins?
Yep, I believe we have the presentation going right now. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, great. Sorry, now I've lost my waiting for quite a while here. Okay.
Nadine, you broke up there. Nadine?
That I am against this particular project because I feel that it brings another dense market value scheme.
Nadine, you're going to have to. Nadine, we're having real troubles hearing you. Are you in a place where your signal is being blocked?
No. Can you hear me right now?
Yeah, it's always good when it gets to next to a window if you're using a mobile phone. Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so there was no consultation with the community that I heard about, but have been there. I worked across the street with the kettle in the 1990s, and it has changed. I don't know about this good neighbor policy and phone number. It's not visible to me. I care about kettle users. They pass my building every day. The kettle has had Facebook ads and
Nadine,
yeah?
you're not coming through very clearly at all.
I'm not really sure how I can assist with this. I'm in a quiet room. I'm on a phone. It's not on speaker.
Yep. You sound fine now, but we do lose your signal. I'm willing to give you some extra time here, but just make sure that you're in a place where your signal can get to us.
Absolutely. I've been listening this.
Nadine, maybe we can get you to call back. We'll take the next speaker and then we'll just wait for your call.
I will email to call back on a landline. I will email a landline number to call back. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
I'll do it right.
Our staff will make sure you get connected. Okay. You'll have to call in using your landline. We'll find you. Okay. We'll just move you down the queue. Yeah. Email us the phone number, please. All right, we'll just take a break for that one. Speaker 4 is Robert Milroy. Adjust the podium if you'd like. It's on the right-hand side, this little control. There you go.
All right, there we go. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Deputy Mayor, Vancouver Council. My name is Robert Milroy. I am a local business owner on Commercial Drive. I'm a commercial property owner on Commercial Drive. My family lives in the Grandview Woodland area, and I've been fortunate to be the direct neighbor to the Kettle Friendship Society Drop-In Center for the last 10 to 12 years. I'm here to speak to what it is like to be the neighbor. Kettle Friendship is not a good neighbor, they're a great neighbor. I'm enthusiastic about the new space that they've proposed. I think they deserve it. I can report that over a period of 10 years, We have never had a single negative incident related to the kettle. Quite the opposite. We've had an excellent working relationship, and not just with the staff of the kettle, but with the clients who benefit from the drop-in center. I, as a pharmacy operator and working on the front lines of healthcare, I have experienced a lot of different organizations in the mental health as well as addiction and geriatric care space. I can attest that the kettle is a unique society. I think all organizations have their place and have a different profile. I would like to assure anyone in this room today that the kettle has a unique and impeccable reputation as an organization. They don't grow for growth's sake. They don't take on new operations for any kind of, empire building or boredom. Honestly, any project they take on, they do excellently. And they've had that reputation for decades. I can say that their clientele is their mission and clientele is fairly specific. They have a unique approach by working specifically with mental health and providing things like art and shelter and engagement to bring a benefit to the community. People in our communities that benefit, and it's not just the clientele, it is the businesses, it is the families, the young families like mine, because quite frankly, I think our little area is quieter and more stable because of the kettle's presence. So I'm actually glad they're not moving very far down the street because it would be, our little area would be worse off without the presence of the kettle. So I'm happy to enthusiastically recommend this change to council. I hope you'll vote in favor. And anyone who is concerned about having the kettle as a neighbor, in my opinion, should not be. They're very open. They're very approachable, and very open to responding to any issues that could ever come up. So I want to thank you guys for that. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay. Thanks for coming in today. All right. We do have Nadine Chambers on a landline, and we're going to try and do this again. Of course, she has a PowerPoint presentation that we were going to see here. Nadine, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Oh, fantastic. That sounds nice.
Okay, great.
I'm going to start the
Thank
clock
you.
now, okay? And we've
Thank you
got
so
first
much.
slide. Just give me a quick sec. And are we ready to go? Okay, here we go.
Okay, great. Slide one, please. Hi, I'm Nadine Chambers, 35 years in East Van and 17 years a block away from this project. I'm really glad somebody ahead of me said they support the kettle. I'm really glad that as a neighbor at Venables, that's working for you. And I support the kettle and the work. I've worked in the downtown East Side, but I am against this project because I feel it is another dense market value scheme dotted with a few kettle apartments. There was no consultation with the community immediately around this site. I would have heard about it. I would have been there. I worked across the street with a kettle in the 1990s, and it's been a bit changed. What good neighbor policy and number? Not visible, and I walk by there all the time up Uprising. The kettle had a couple of Facebook ads that I saw and a single postcard late that came to my building, which is 2 blocks away. The admin building at Salisbury is sealed to the public, and leadership I asked about this in Choices did an about face. Didn't want to answer even a light question. The market side is overhyped. How does the higher buildings policy review consultation in Grandview Park on April 10th protect us? Went through the whole thing there. It kills the skyline for the current community south of it. That strata is next door to me. It looms over the Kettle side. The Kettle Social Services Center is a hard 9 to 5 currently. Is there something new planned for non-Kettle residents after hours, such as the shelter? I wish to have serious follow-up on the following. What is the traffic diversion plans for the bus stop areas for this development and the other two? So on my form there that you see that slide, the explosions are 3 planned projects. right now. We're dealing with this one here. 3 planned projects, the Indigenous housing, no problem with that across from the strata, and then on the corner. The slight spark points are bus stops, and then, of course, Fire Hall 11. What demands are being made for within the permit for construction that tends to pedestrian safety at the number 20 stop? What is the scheduling of construction that impacts pedestrians and bus commuters on commercial from Hastings to Venables? What specific logistics plans and implementations regarding loading and movement of construction materials, machinery, workers, and the community, and the safety in the East Pender Alley and elsewhere, just in terms of construction? To me, this is a front for bulking up private development market housing in its crisis with a social services nonprofit as a moral permission and public funding appendage. I'm still thinking about the full forensic report on community amenity contributions. The yellow memorandum clearly shows that there is a ton that was added last minute. Nowhere does it state how this will be implemented. Specifically, the kettle sections, page 3 to 6, C to L, in the middle of our existing community. In England, there's a considerate constructor scheme, keeping an eye on how construction activity impacts the community, environment, and its workforce. Not here. I'm a one-woman schemer for the 20-block radius. My dad was a first-generation engineer who got me a hard hat as a kid and took me to work sites. I have a healthy skeptic view of architects. I've read your plans. It's lovely. I see nothing about safety and construction. Traffic control was my focus yesterday. Today, it's about how the permits the city allows for construction creates traffic agitation, impacts that have been ignored. Okay? Basically, I'm looking at after slide 1, looking at slide, I don't see that this as separate. This past summer, I documented the original building's demolition. I was relentless. The minute the machine started up, I was on the block watching, calling 311, sending in documentation. By the end, the company's respectful question was, is she, Nadine, satisfied? Where's the community safety in the planned construction of this Kettle Cressy development? Slide 2. Unlike Hastings and the Templeton developments that are side by side, a couple of blocks away, construction that saw the road sealed off, that is not possible here. Does the city and the constructor communicate plans early with TransLink, with us in the community? Slide 3. What are the logistics for traffic coming off Hastings with a median on one side, that's on the bus stop on the other, on a narrow lane that narrows again for residents and newly converted to paid parking that's just recently happened? That summer, I spent hours watching people try to get to the bus stop. It was a nightmare. I'm just going to stop there. Alison Smith spoke, and slide 4 now, please. Alison Smith spoke about the industrial mix. The alley for Francis Street weekly is already quietly being used by trucks to deliver to light industry just west of Woodlands. Note in this picture on the right that there's a truck making its way nipped through on this McLean Street. That's it.
Thanks very much. You're out of time. Thank you.
That's it.
Very much for
Thank you so much.
getting in touch. Very good. Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Robert Higgin on the phone. Oh, sorry, Duncan Higgin on the phone. Speaker number 5.
Hello, Duncan Higgin, Vancouver homeowner in the neighborhood. Just making sure that I'm coming through clearly.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Yep, brilliant. So I'm calling from 1500 block of Pender Street, 1 block from the site of development. I want to back here and listening to my neighbors and community members, I hear their concerns. I also walk with my 2 children into Woodlands Park every day and witness in the morning and the evening people packing up tents and packing up where they live in our community, our neighbors. I cannot full-throatedly enough support this development. When we're talking about 40 units of supportive housing and more importantly, access to a meaningful drop-in center for mental health concerns, those are the type of intervention points that Commercial Drive and this neighborhood has always recognized as imperative and important. And while I hear individuals speaking and discussing ideas of sightlines and views, I recognize that. I also recognize a dire need in our community for our colleagues and our friends and our people who live in the community right now on the street. Cannot support this enough. Kettle has a long-standing history of running well-ran intervention points and support services in our city. They've been doing work when it was desperately unfashionable to do it. I have great faith in that. The increase in density, I'm worried where my kids will be able to live in this city if we aren't creating enough housing necessary for them to be able to move into an affordable fashion. I've heard time and time again in this whole conversation ideas of livability. I live indoors and I sleep every night on a bed. And we have neighbors and community members who are sleeping in parks, who are defecating in alleys. The only solution I can come up with and think of regarding the unhoused is, I don't know, what's it called, housing. We're looking at units of rentable housing and supportive housing and a drop-in center to support our neighbors and our community members. Cannot support this project enough. We will be impacted here in this household, all of us, by the construction and still favor this approach. I'm not sure how else we're going to address it. We have a homeless count that's up north of 2,700 individuals unhoused, over 700 of whom in our own city are sleeping on the street every day. The only pathway to solving this, livability and the notion of safety, is to house individuals. And a project like this, which is long delayed, it's over 10 years in discussions, it's come up a couple times, cannot be supported enough to see this reified and actually activated in our community. It's what our community needs. Whether we are housed and have an address, whether you're like me and you own a house, regardless, you have a right to be indoors, and projects like this help that happen. And I cannot impress upon council the importance of this level of engagement, this level of activation in our communities, and we need to see it broadly. We've heard conversations tonight around densification of support services. We are clearly in need. When we have 2,700 individuals in our city who don't have housing, we can't open enough. Let's see it broadly across the city, but let's not then act in this fashion as neighbors and as community members that suggest that this neighborhood is overburdened when another neighborhood should have more. I assure you, I walk this community every morning, every evening with my dogs and with my family and with my kiddos. I see plenty of need here. They're not shipping in individuals from elsewhere in the city. They're simply supporting the individuals in our own community where we already exist. And again, this idea of livability and safety, we all become safer, we all become healthier and happier when people in our community who are outside sleeping rough are moving indoors. The open drug use, just to address that has been going on in this community long before Lookout, Kettle, or anybody else had anything open or even support services in this neighborhood. That was activated and happening, and is a response of individuals not having a space where they can do so indoors if they need to. And so again, I just reiterate my utter support for this project, calling you from the 1500 block of Pender, 1 block away.
Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, be well. Bye-bye.
Okay, speaker 6 is Russell Maynard.
Hi there, Council. Thank you for this time. And I would just echo, the speakers, especially the one who just spoke, has said a lot of what I wanted to say, so I won't repeat that. But I've lived in the neighborhood for decades, not just 10 or 15 years, and walked by Kettle pretty much that whole time. And they are an outstanding neighbor, and just like the gentleman before me, I've never, hundreds of times of walking by Kettle, never seen any issues. And I really think that the people that are not supportive are conflating a large-scale problem of homelessness with a much smaller scale problem of this issue that's before council right now. And the Kettle development has been on the books, has been asked for, has been needed, has been developed for a decade, as we've already heard, and it's high time that it happened, and I'm so glad to hear that it's expansive. And finally, if homelessness is bothering the neighbors, then a development project to provide 40 units of housing is exactly the solution that we need in our neighborhood. And with that, I hope council will support this and this can move forward as fast as possible.
Thanks very much. Our next speaker, 7, is Jessica French. Jessica French here.
Speaker 7 is not present.
Okay, thanks very much. Speaker 8, Anna Cooper. Anna.
Hi there. My name is Anna Cooper, and I'm here to speak in favor of the Kettle project. I have lived in the Commercial Drive neighborhood since I moved to Vancouver in 2001, and I am a community nurse in the Grandview Woodlands, downtown East Side neighborhoods. I am fortunate to live in a housing co-op, one of the last built with federal financing in 1987, providing stable, affordable housing for my family, along with a built-in community for myself, my partner, and our children. My children attended local schools. We purchase our food on Commercial Drive, get our haircuts and dental care on the drive, and use the fabulous Britannia Community Center for a variety of programs, and have accessed health care at Robert and Lily Lee Family on Broadway. All within walking distance, making our quality of life on the higher end of the scale. As a nurse, I meet homeless and poorly housed members of our community every day. They too are connected to our community. They may sleep in the parks, get their food at local shops or at the Kettle, both prepared lunch and groceries to go, participate in recreational activities at the Kettle or Britannia or Grandview Park, and access health care at Reach Urgent Care or with me at the Kettle Clinic. Several members are part of the street cleaning team, ensuring a clean environment for all of us neighbors. Kettle members also struggle with mental illness and/or addiction, as well as extreme poverty, all leading to poor health outcomes. They need, like I did, housing that is in their neighborhood and will provide the peace of mind affordable, clean, and stable housing offers. It is not a question for debate that housing is a key social determinant of health and leads to improved health outcomes. Multiple studies have shown this, including a 2012 study led by the Canadian Mental Health Commission, which included several Kettle members. Lastly, the Kettle Society has been an integral part of our community for 50 years and are well respected and used by neighbors, members, and other service providers. Mental illness and addiction are in all our communities, whether people are impoverished and live on the street or live in private homes supported by family and friends. They too can benefit from the Kettle services. I encourage you to vote yes for this project.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, so that reaches the end of our speakers list. I just want to go back to see if there's any that we missed. Speaker 7, as far as I can tell. Has there been an appearance from Jessica French?
Not present, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much. All right. This is so if there are any additional speakers in the chamber, always come forward to the podium. So this is the third and final call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. We will now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium.
Hi, speakers. Just letting you know we are still in recess. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Back from recess. Clerk, do we have any speakers in the chamber or on the line?
Chair, we have one additional speaker for this item on the phone, Lauren Warback, unsure if they are a Vancouver resident.
Okay. I'm sorry, can you repeat the name?
Lauren Warback.
Okay. Lauren, are you on the line?
I am on the line, and I do live in Vancouver.
Thanks very much. Okay, go right ahead.
Sure. Well, so I've lived on the drive for more than a decade, and I'm a resident of the 1500 block of East Pender, just 1 block away from where this development will take place. I'm very excited to strongly support this project by the Kettle Society, a wonderful organization that has been providing transformative services in this community for many years. I love living on the drive, and I love all of its diversity, and I've been delighted by the improvements that the city has made possible on the drive in recent years. The planning that has been taking place has truly made the drive come alive in exciting ways with the parklets and outdoor seating and improvements to cycling infrastructure. And really, the case I would make is that homeless and low-income Vancouverites should be able to participate in this exciting revitalization as well. As other community members have pointed out tonight, the reality of our city and of cities across the country is that economic stratification is increasing, that there has been a vicious turn against harm reduction principles, and that rates of homelessness are rapidly increasing. Safety does not work through exclusion. And what my neighbors have described tonight when they are in opposition of this project is actually securitization. It's not only that we don't get to create an invisible wall around this community and exempt ourselves from this broader reality that is happening at much higher levels than the municipal level. It's the reality that our responsibility to one another and to our community members is to embrace the complexity of what it means to refuse this violence and to choose to find a way to live together in our city across the divisiveness of stigma. I really want to reframe the discourse around public safety that has come up in this forum, because I am within yelling distance of the 2 condos strata members that spoke tonight. And I do not hear persistent screaming and yelling. I do not walk in feces every day, and I walk my dogs every day in the alley behind the proposed development. I chat with my neighbors, housed and unhoused. More than once, they have offered me things that they have. They've given me a dog bag for my own dogs, and I didn't have one. They pet my dogs, they engage. I have never once felt unsafe. And in fact, these community members are what make me want to live here and to continue to live here. We need to consider that when we see signifiers like feces in an alleyway, a person screaming in distress, discarded drug paraphernalia, these are not fundamental threats to our safety. These people are members of our public, and this is a reflection of the incredible risk that those community members live in every day and the lack of safety that they are living in, without safe places to toilet, without running water, without appropriate care and support and shelter. The reality, too, of homelessness is that different communities need different things. There seems to be a notion among many Vancouverites that we can ghettoize everyone in the downtown east side, and not everyone in the homeless community is created the same or has the same needs. There are people already living in this community. The question is whether we make the decision to shelter them and to provide them with appropriate services, and I have every confidence in the Kettle Society to do that with this project. Thank you.
Thanks very much for calling in. Okay. Clerk, do we have any further speakers in the chamber or on the line?
We do not, Chair.
Okay. Seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comments received on this item since 5 p.m.?
There has not been.
Okay. Seeing that there are few or no public comments received after 5 p.m., I am now closing the receipt of public comment. Does the applicant have any closing comments?
We do not. Thanks.
Does staff have any closing comments?
Only a reminder of the yellow memo. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, does council have any final questions for staff, noting that no additional questions for the applicant are permitted? Councillor Dominato?
Yes, I just had a couple of questions, just stemming from some of the speakers. I heard some questions arose out of consultation and notification, and I know typically there is a notification period for these projects. Could just staff confirm that appropriate notification took place?
Thanks for the question. Yes, we did our standard notification of a postcard as well as the Shape Your City page and the site sign. We had a 2-week online Q&A as well as the comment box being open for a longer period, as well as my email and phone number available for members of the public.
Okay, that was carried out according to policy. There was one other question. Bear with me here. Oh, maybe I'll leave it there. That's fine. Thanks.
Thanks very much. Councillor Orr.
Yeah, thanks so much. Just responding to some of the questions around the height, essentially, and people would support a 6-story or something like that. Can you just sort of walk us through, viability in terms of offering such a sort of substantial social benefit, in terms of subdividing this large parcel, and what that looks like? Would it be a sort of economically viable to do a 6-story and offer the same kind of social benefit?
Thanks for the question. According to the applicant, no. And our real estate services staff also did a review to determine if there was any additional land lift from the project after the transfer of the land, and they determined that there would be no additional CAC above the transfer of the land.
Okay, and then in terms of towers too, there's a few towers that have been approved in the area. Is that correct? There was an 18-story in 2023, and I can't remember.
Yeah, there have been a number of specifically social housing towers, yes, approved in the immediate area.
And then sort of addressing comments around, I think I heard more of this stuff in terms of, a low barrier shelter. This, I know the applicant can't speak to it, but this is not a low barrier shelter.
No, this is supportive housing, so longer term housing.
And at the drop-in center, I don't know if you can answer this, there will be washrooms there.
I believe so, according to the plans that we reviewed, public washrooms, yes.
All right. And then just another sort of question around, I think there was concerns around traffic. There was one speaker that talked about traffic, and I know there is a brief mention on traffic mitigation that the applicant will have to sort of go over. And there is this rather lengthy yellow memo. There's some traffic sort of mitigation in this as well, right?
Yes, but traffic mitigation and construction management comes at later stages of permitting. So engineering looks at construction management to ensure the safety of all road users at that time, and we haven't gone through that at rezoning.
Okay. Yes. That's right. The caller did talk about during construction, but in terms of overall too, the applicant would have to manage traffic safety in general as part of the applications as well.
They have to manage traffic safety on their site. There are street upgrades that are required.
That's what I'm getting
in terms
at.
of sidewalk upgrades and improvements of new sidewalks, upgrades to the lane, lighting. So there's a number of engineering conditions that relate to that.
Upgrade to the lane and lighting.
And the sidewalks and street frontages.
I think that's important to highlight. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
Councillor Dominato?
Yeah, Chair, I'd like to move the recommendations along with the yellow memo.
Second.
Okay, thanks very much. Council will now make its decision. Just one item here. Clerk, do we receive any additional public comments since the close of public comments?
We did not.
Okay. Very good. Then, council members, is there any discussion? And I'll make sure to reset your timer here. Go ahead, Councillor. Oh, we're going to the main queue. So, okay, I'll just a sec. Montague. Sorry, did I get, okay, there you go. Okay, Councillor Dominato.
Thanks, Chair. I'm incredibly pleased to see this come forward and appreciating that it really has been more than a decade in the making. And as some of you know, I joined the Kettle Board in 2011, served on that board for 6 years, 2.5 as chair. And it has been a long road to get to here. And I also want to acknowledge that, you know, there were a number of speakers, maybe some are still here, some called in and have some anxiety and concern. And I've certainly observed that with other proposals in the past. But I did want to reflect that this is, in my estimation, a really good project. And I appreciated Bobby's comments that the Kettle Society isn't just good, they're great and great neighbors. I think that's a really important part of this conversation. This project, well, it is about land use. It is about development and developing homes for people to live in this case, rental as well as supportive housing, as well as a social drop-in center, which exists today. At the end of the day, we need to really look at this holistically. The drop-in center as it stands today is in a building that is incredibly dilapidated for anybody who has visited it. They are bursting at the seams, and they are a grassroots community-based mental health services, which started over 40 years ago, and that we need more of in our communities to help sustain people. And what I think is unique about this proposal is that you have the supportive housing, and you have not only the staffing, but the wraparound services right there on site. Oftentimes with some of the supportive housing and other projects we have in the city, it's services that are coming in, they're coming and going, or it's outreach. Here, you actually have you'll have the supportive housing, and you'll have access to all of these services, which is oftentimes what we hear the gap is how do we connect individuals in need, whether it be dealing with severe mental illness or severe addiction, to the right services. And so from that perspective, there's an enormous public benefit in my estimation. And also, we're going to see more homes in this area. There's already been some approvals recently. It's on a rapid bus route, as we all know, with Hastings. There is going to be development. But when I step back, I am incredibly proud that this is coming forward in this way, because I think it is also very creative. Because one of the challenges when not-for-profits are trying to redevelop, expand their offerings is finding the right partner to do that. And it seems that with this subdivision model that will work. And again, the city gets more rental, which we know. We need more rental opportunities for people, but we also get supportive homes for people, as well as the expanded drop-in space. And so I could go on and on, but I'm just incredibly happy to support this proposal at this time. So thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks very much. We heard from a number of speakers, and I actually really appreciate all of the comments, because those are real experiences that people are having. With respect to the neighborhood, there's a lot of folks that are welcoming new people coming in, and there's others that have had challenges with a number of different impacts in the neighborhood, whether it's from housing or other operators. Not all operators are created equal, and I'm not going to cast aspersion necessarily on the other ones that were mentioned, but I will say that in my estimation, Kettle is not one of them. And I think Kettle has a stellar reputation. One thing that I think might be helpful to take away and to reflect back some of the comments we heard from speakers is that we can certainly, and I would welcome a couple of speakers earlier to follow up with myself or a couple of councillors directly around things like street cleaning, sanitation, et cetera, if they feel that some of those flags in specific blocks are not being addressed. Then certainly that's something we can look at. I will say this council's put a real focus on trying to support neighborhoods in that way. So I do recognize and respect that and the fact that there may be some issues related to particular projects or operators that we could also take a look at and see if we can follow up there around good neighbor agreements. With respects to this particular new proposed project, I actually think the fact that it's bringing in 239 market rental units will actually be a positive in the neighborhood because it's going to bring in more life and energy and different neighbors. And when you have sort of heat on the street, so to speak, and more life coming into the neighborhood, that generally tends to make areas more vibrant and uplift them. And I think in general, I do believe in sort of the philosophy about having a diversity of different housing. So I think that part of the proposal can be viewed by some that have concerns as actually good because it'll bring in people of sort of different backgrounds, probably ages, et cetera. So some good diversity in the neighborhood. I will say that this is a fairly poignant timing because I remember being on council last term, as will Councillor Dominato, looking around, I think, of everybody here, probably Councillor Bly too. There was a previous proposal for Kettle on commercial with Boffo. It was a good proposal. There was a lot of folks put a lot of heart and work into it, and it was very narrowly defeated. And that was personally very disappointing for me at that time. It would have been nice to see it move forward. It would be well underway, if not built today at this point. So it is, I think, particularly, I think the right word I was using is poignant today, that we're kind of on the last part of our council term and we're closing through, trying to get through all the business on the council docket, that we actually have a chance to approve this one. I'm going to see Councillor Dominato nodding there because I think there's folks in the audience that remember that moment as well. So it's kind of a privilege to have the chance to sit on this side and see a successful proposal go forward. I am curious about the identified other option with respects to the financing for the social housing component for the 40 units. But I know there's some good minds on this one with a lot of background in that area. So on balance, I will support it, but I do encourage those other neighbors and folks in the neighborhood to contact us about the issues separate from approving this project on its merits, which I am happy to do. So thank you for everybody for their work, and I will be supporting it. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor. Councillor Montague.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Sorry. I'll admit, when a project like this comes to council, I'm very cautious. I asked the second speaker about their PowerPoint, and I did find her PowerPoint in the comments. So I did have a look through that PowerPoint, including the photographs and graphs that were in it. And they are concerning. I worked in the downtown east side and the northeast portion of the city for many years as a VPD officer. I'm very familiar with the challenges and the real impacts those challenges have on neighborhoods. One of the first things I look at in a project like this is, and things I focus on, is who's the service provider. My experience with Kettle is, both as a VPD officer and now on council, is that they should be a model for every social and supportive housing provider, service provider. In my experience, they care about their clients and they care about the neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood. They put checks and balances in place, including tenant accountability. And accountability is very important. The issues seen in the slides that I looked at, and a couple of the speakers spoke about their experiences with some of the issues in the neighborhood and the surrounding area. I don't think it's a failure of Kettle. I actually think it's a failure of other organizations and higher levels of government. And I agree with the speakers who expressed how they think Kettle will be, and this application will be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. So I'm going to happily support. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much. Councillor Bly.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm appreciating all the positive comments from my colleagues, and I think that's important, and also recognizing people have different experiences and different reasons for coming to address council. So just acknowledging all of those speakers and appreciate your time. That, you know, I appreciate the height of the building is going to be a change in this neighborhood. We are seeing higher density across the city in lots of different neighborhoods because the costs associated with building rental housing, and then of course making sure that we can maximize value and public amenities and social amenities is the moment that we're facing right across the city. So, you know, I think at the end of the day, when I'm hearing the speakers and I'm thinking about what in particular the Kettle Society does, I think all of those things folks are worried about will actually get worse if the Kettle's not able to expand their services. Sorry, I should have just said the part of my that sentence sooner. So I'm really convinced of that. Like, I think others have spoken very well to the services provided at Kettle, at the Kettle Society, and I do feel quite certain that while there are a lot of complexities in and around the surrounding neighborhood, I don't think that that can really be pinned on the Kettle Society, and that in the absence of those services, all of those other surrounding symptoms actually worsen. I'm quite convinced. And I think many neighborhoods are suffering at different levels, not suffering, many are experiencing, you know, some of the comments that were made by speakers. I'm thinking I hear about that in lots of different neighborhoods these days. We know that the need is growing in our city. More supportive housing with wraparound services embedded is what we need in our city, particularly purpose-built with the space, so people have space to manage the clientele and make sure people can access services, particularly food programs. I really want to lift up the ID Bank in my tour. I thought that was really interesting and important. I think there's lots of services that are provided through the Kettle Society that people don't realize that vulnerable folks who don't actually have an address or a home of their own need. And there's just to stabilize. And so I think there's many gaps being filled by these services. And so I appreciate Cressy coming to the table as well and being able to come up with a good solution that provides both housing and also stability for the future for Kettle Society. And I trust that if anything, other than like the things can't be avoided, which is the height and density of the building itself, but anything else, growing pains, change, what have you, that there's going to be a responsiveness either from our city staff and also the proponent to address those local community concerns. And so I think given that, I'm very comfortable supporting this application, and just to acknowledge the persistence and commitment from the Kettle Society to see this all the way through to this point over many years. That's it.
Thanks, Councillor. I'm going to cede the chair to Deputy Mayor Kirby Young just so I can make a few comments. So first of all, thanks very much. And I want to just first acknowledge the applicant and staff and all of the speakers tonight. And I just think it's a few things that we've established here that Kettle Society has a fantastic reputation, and it has done incredibly important work in the community. And I think that will continue, and that would continue with this project. We also understand that the property that this is going to be proposed building is currently vacant. It's been had a commercial use for many years, but it is essentially got a big chain link fence around it now. I've been down to that neighborhood, in particular those blocks, on a few occasions. It's because I have been going back and forth and dialoguing with members of the community that have been expressing concerns and complaints. In fact, it was both Councillor Meisner and I have both been down there, either together or individually, over the last couple of years. And it is very frustrating. And I want to acknowledge the fact that there has been some real pressures on the alleyway, on Hastings, the bus stops. This is a wonderful family-oriented community, and we really need to take it seriously. And I know that just as recently as a few days ago, I once again spoke to one of our general managers about how we're going to be able to address this. The work is continuous and needs to happen. And truthfully, I don't think that the addition of Kettle and the new housing here would be a detriment. I think in the end of the day, it could be potentially very positive, seeing the lightning over the windows there. And so I will be supporting the project, but I want to make it make it clear that commitment to work with the community to try and address some of the challenges there that are ongoing daily and happening, and clearly from hearing from people who spoke today, there is a lot of anxiety that comes from it, and they don't deserve that. So I want to make sure that we are working steadfastly to try and make sure that we support the neighborhood, this neighborhood and many others, but this one has really been having a rough go of it the last little while, and we need to take that seriously. And as Councillor Montague said, this is really not just on the city; it's on other levels of government as well. So, but thank you very much. I will be supporting this project, but again, I think it's really about making sure that we have a great operator like Kettle Society, and making sure that things are harmonious in the neighborhood, because they truly deserve it. Thanks very much, and I'll take the chair back from Councillor Kirby-Young. Okay, with that, I am now going to call the vote. Clerk, can you please take us to a voting screen? And that passes with all present in favor, and Councillor Miser declaring conflict. That completes item 3. We are going to take a 10-minute recess to reset. Thanks very much. Okay, so we are now on to item 4, CD1 rezoning 75 East 8th Avenue. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict to disclose? The clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by Musson Cattell Mackey Partnership to rezone 75 East 8th Avenue from I-1 Industrial District to CD-1 Comprehensive Development District to permit the development of a 21-story mixed-use building containing 190 hotel units and 2 stories of industrial space. A floor space ratio of 12.1 and a height of 72 meters are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability recommends approval, subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. 26 pieces of correspondence in support and 47 pieces of correspondence in opposition. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today. Correspondence is presented as submitted and may include multiple or duplicate entries.
Thanks very much. This is the first call for speakers. If you wish to speak to council about this item, please call toll-free 1-833-353-86. Participant code 1061445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability here to present the application.
Okay, good evening, Council. My name is Ricardo Peggi. I'm the rezoning planner assigned to this application at 75 East 8th Avenue for a 21-story mixed-use hotel and industrial building. The subject site is comprised of 3 parcels located at the northwest corner of Quebec Street and East 8th Avenue in the Mount Pleasant neighborhood. The site is currently developed with a 3-story apartment building, including 27 units of primary rental housing. The site is located towards the edge of the Mount Pleasant industrial area, a block west of Main Street and a block north of East Broadway. Lands to the north and west are generally used for a mix of office, service, and industrial uses. Lands to the south and east of the site contain a mix of office, residential, and commercial uses. The neighborhood is undergoing significant change with future redevelopment as per the Broadway plan, as well as with the SkyTrain extension. The future Mount Pleasant station is located approximately 175 meters to the southeast. The existing apartment was constructed in 1961 and predates the current industrial I-1 zoning that applies to the property. The building is considered a non-conforming use, which means that it may be maintained but may not be expanded or reconstructed under the current zoning. Metro 2050 is the regional growth strategy for the Metro Vancouver region. The RGS sets regional land use designations at the parcel level to ensure sensitive and important lands are protected. The city is required to then align land use policies and zoning with the RGS. The site is designated as industrial, and those lands are intended for industrial uses, as well as complementary job spaces, and are not intended for residential uses. The site is designated as industrial employment in the generalized land use map in the Vancouver ODP. This designation supports a number of industrial and employment uses, including hotels near rapid transit areas, and generally does not permit residential uses. The Vancouver ODP does not prescribe applicable heights for this designation. The site is located in the Mount Pleasant Industrial Area A of the Broadway plan, which enables industrial, office, service retail, cultural, and institutional uses, typically with heights up to 11 stories. While the plan does not enable a hotel development at the subject property, this location has similar characteristics to area where the plan does consider hotel use, namely along the periphery of the Mount Pleasant industrial area and near to rapid transit. Further, the proposed height and density will be consistent with other developments enabled by the Broadway plan near to the Mount Pleasant SkyTrain station. The proposal is to rezone the site to a comprehensive development district to enable the development of a mixed-use hotel building with an industrial podium. The maximum height is 21 stories or 70.9 meters, and the proposed density is 12.1 FSR. The proposed development contains 190 hotel units and industrial uses in the bottom 2 stories. The site contains 27 units of primary rental housing, of which 25 are eligible under the city's tenant relocation and protection policy for the Broadway plan area. The proposal does not include any replacement rental units, so the right of first refusal and associated rent top-ups will not apply. The applicant will be required to support eligible tenants to identify housing options that reflect tenant household needs and priorities, including assisting low-income tenants and tenants with additional barriers to secure affordable housing and provide additional moving assistance as required. Staff worked with the applicant to propose additional enhanced relocation supports. Should the application be approved, the applicant will be required to support eligible tenants to find housing at rental rates that do not exceed 20% below citywide average market rents, and assist applicable tenants with applications for non-market housing, provincial rental assistance programs, or other applicable supports. At the time of drafting the report, 204 pieces of correspondence were received through the Shape Your City platform and by email, including a letter collectively sent by 36 tenants who live at the subject site. A form email in opposition to the proposal was submitted to staff and council with 651 submissions counted. The proposal is consistent with the Vancouver ODP, but less than 50% of the floor area is proposed for residential use. Council therefore had the discretion whether to refer the item to a regular council agenda or to refer the item to a public hearing. Given the volume of public feedback, staff recommended the item be referred to a public hearing, and council did so on June the 2nd. Public feedback expressed support for additional hotel space, the location for the project near to rapid transit, and the attractive building design. Concerns were also expressed. Firstly, that the proposed development should include replacement rental housing units for current tenants. It should be noted that the proposal does not contain residential uses, so a full staff review of the inclusion of residential uses has not been conducted. Staff point to the Broadway Plan, Vancouver ODP, and Metro Vancouver Regional Growth Strategy, all of which do not permit new residential uses in the Mount Pleasant industrial area. The inclusion of housing would require a redesignation of the site under the Metro Vancouver Regional Growth Strategy and would require an amendment to the official development plan. The second is that the proposed rezoning is removing existing affordable rental housing and will displace residents with no comparable housing costs nearby. As mentioned, staff worked with the applicant to propose additional enhanced relocation supports for tenants. The applicant will be required to support eligible tenants to find housing at rental rates that do not exceed 20% below citywide average market rents, and will assist applicable tenants with applications for non-market housing, provincial rental assistance, or other supports. Lastly, the proposed building height is inappropriate for the area and is inconsistent with the existing scale and neighborhood character. The proposal maintains compliance with key urban design performance criteria, including protected view cones, shadowing, and minimum tower separation requirements. In addition, the site is located within an outlying area of the Mount Pleasant industrial area near to the future SkyTrain station. The proposed built form is consistent with the emerging context near to the rapid transit station. The public benefits from this application consist of a cash CAC based on the commercial linkage fee, DCLs, and a public art contribution with a total value of $5.4 million. In summary, the proposed land use is generally consistent with the intent of the Broadway plan to permit mixed-use hotels and industrial developments on the fringes of the Mount Pleasant industrial area near to transit, and the land use is consistent with the Vancouver ODP. While the proposal raises concerns related to tenant displacement, staff have worked with the applicant to develop a site-specific approach to tenant relocation that is as close as possible to the full enhanced TRPP per the Broadway plan. Staff therefore recommends approval of this application subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix B. And that concludes my presentation. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions.
Thanks very much. Would the applicant like to present the application?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council.
You can raise the podium. It's a little control right there.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Josh Anderson, VP of Development at Nicola Real Estate, here on behalf of the applicant team. We've worked closely and collaboratively with staff on this application, and we're proud to bring this project forward as part of the evolution of Mount Pleasant. I'll keep my remarks to the big picture. Why a hotel and why here? As a starting point, this site and this area have long been protected for industry and employment. And under Vancouver City policy, housing is not permitted as a future use. For more than 3 decades, the city and the region have deliberately protected this part of Mount Pleasant for jobs and industry, beginning with Vancouver's industrial lands policy in 1995, reaffirmed since then through the Broadway Plan in 2022, and Metro Vancouver's 2050 regional growth strategy. And the direction running through every one of those layers is the same: protect this land for employment and use it more intensively. Our proposal does just that. So again, why a hotel and why here? Look at what surrounds this site. Mount Pleasant has become one of the city's true innovation districts. Life sciences and biotech firms like Upsellera, tech and gaming studios, film and production companies, makers and breweries. These businesses bring people to Vancouver, sometimes for weeks at a time, relocating staff, visiting clients, contractors, and researchers who all need somewhere to stay. And today, there is no hotel of any kind on this part of the Broadway corridor. Nothing east of Heather Street or on this side of the downtown. We're also within short distance of rapid transit and 3 hospitals. Mount St. Joseph and VGH are here today, and the new St. Paul's Hospital is opening in 2027. A facility for patients in longer treatment, the families who come with them, and the clinicians and researchers who follow. These are people who need accommodations, sometimes for a night and sometimes for a longer stretch. Okay, cool. As staff themselves note, a hotel here is a compatible service use. One that supports businesses, workers, and visitors this area is being built for. Vancouver's hotel development policy identifies a clear need for more hotels in the Broadway corridor, and the Broadway plan enables exactly this hotel in industrial form. Let me also say a word about who's behind this application, as I think it's important to mention. Nicola Real Estate, which is part of Nicola Wealth, is a Vancouver company with a local team, and we invest in Mount Pleasant for the long term. Along with several industrial and office buildings nearby, a few blocks away from this site is 2111 Main Street, and we're redeveloping the old City Center Motel into 447 new rental homes with retail and a dedicated arts and culture space at the base. For the past 5 years, rather than fence off the site, we've partnered with David Dupre and the Narrow Group to create what became known as the Arts Lodge, and still is, affordable art studios, and event space that has given the local arts community a home for several years and earned international recognition as a result. More broadly, through our staff giving program at Nicola Wealth, we've contributed significant charitable donations and staff time from our own company to over 300 organizations since 2016. Covenant House, who provides safe shelter, meals, and around-the-clock care to young people aged 16 to 24, escaping homelessness and human trafficking. The Arts Umbrella, who provide accessible arts education to more than 20,000 children a year. And the Union Gospel Mission, who provides meals, shelter, and addiction recovery in the downtown east side, have been amazing community partners for Nicola Wealth. I don't want to raise this as a reason to approve the rezoning, but just so you know the kind of neighbor standing behind the project and the proposal. Finally, I want to speak to the residents of the apartment building at 75 East 8th today. We are following the city's tenant relocation and protection policy, and we're working closely with city housing staff to go beyond what it requires. From the outset, we've reached out to tenants directly and one-on-one through a professional relocation firm, Nestwell, since the application in 2025 in November. We've hosted on-site open houses week after week. Nestwell has been working with every household individually or attempting to do so, and city housing staff have been part of the table throughout. And when the time comes for the project to potentially move forward, if approved, we'll go further still. As mentioned by staff, we'll be helping residents secure new homes at below market rents so that with our support, hopefully they have a chance to stay in the neighborhood. Several long-term residents have already chosen to move out of the building for their own reasons, and with the full TRP compensation and support, have actually shared positive feedback with us about their process and about the relocation experience. It's also worth putting the timeline in perspective for this project. Even if this is approved through this rezoning, to move quickly through this would be difficult in the current climate, and we expect no less than 2 years of time between now and when construction could possibly begin in a best case scenario. So I'll close with saying thank you to Council for considering the application, and our project team is here for any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant, noting this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions to the applicant? Councillor Orr.
Yeah, thanks. Most of my questions are for staff. The report says the Broadway plan's enhanced right of return protections don't apply here. Obviously, we know that, but only because the new building isn't classified as rental. But under the Broadway plan's sort of stated goals of preventing displacement, doesn't this kind of a technicality that guts the intent of those protections?
Hi, Councillor. Dan Garrison, Director of Housing Policy and Regulation. When we developed the Broadway plan, we were aware that there would be cases and uses where there were not rental buildings being built back, where tenants would be displaced without the ability to offer the right of first refusal. In that case, we did know the citywide TRP would have to apply because the right of first refusal wouldn't be available. So we think this is in line with the sort of letter of the Broadway plan. I agree with the point that the intent of the Broadway plan is to avoid displacement of existing residents. It's just the right of first refusal element of it is impossible to implement when there isn't residential to return to.
Sure. I guess under that, I mean, there is a future TRPP review coming. Why approve this application, or in terms of bring this application forward? I mean, before that.
Yeah, it's a good question. The application has been made under the current policies that exist in place today. So the intent of the Broadway plan policies, the intent of the hotel policy is being met here. We do recognize that there's a gap in our rental protection policy that's been pointed out. And we do, of course, empathize with tenants that are displaced from projects such as this. So that is, we will be looking at that through the upcoming TRP review.
In terms of sort of, this is a hotel and not residential, isn't it? It's true that there are some hotels that offer sort of long-term stay, and is it possible that as part of that future TRPP review, we could look at sort of including residential units as maybe swing sites for housing within that?
Well, maybe what I'll say, I know Sean Martinez from our hotel policy here is here to, and can speak to the long-term stay issue if we want to get into detail. In terms of the upcoming review, we do recognize that there is interplay between our rental policies and our hotel policy. And so our intent is for our housing team and our hotel policy team to work together on that review to look at those issues.
Okay, that's being included. That's great. And just for the record, and this is just sort of more procedure and for the public, can council amend, say, the hotel policy or the TRPP at a public hearing? Or redesignate the property? There's been some letters sent to.
Casey Peters, Assistant Director of the Rezoning Center. I would say we would not do that on the floor of a public hearing. It would probably require a significant amount of staff review time, and we wouldn't have the capacity to do
Generally, that happens outside of that. Okay. The report states that hotel rezonings and commercial zones are barred where they displace purpose-built rental. Why does that not extend to industrial zone sites like this one? If this sort of the effect is kind of the same thing.
Good evening, Councillor. Sean Martinez, Planner 2 with the PDS. So could you repeat the question, Councillor?
The report states that hotel rezonings and commercial zones are barred where they displace purpose-built rentals, but why does that bar not extend to industrial-based zones?
As it is, there is no, residential cannot be put back into this specific site because of the underlying zoning and the underlying metro designation as well. And so in that regard, we cannot.
Right, so it's the non-conforming use thing.
Right.
If so, let's say at the TRPP review, we close this sort of loophole around, maybe in the hotel policy or TRPP review. What would happen with this application? Would it be up for review, or would this be sort of grandfathered in? I know we don't use the word grandfathered in, but
in this regard, the residential use would have to be permitted on site in order to be. There's no issue with regards to combining hotel with residential. It's the matter of the permitting the actual residential use on the site, which currently prevents the residents from returning to the same site, and that would be a larger process.
So that could be a sort of a redesignation of that.
Correct. Yeah.
I think that's my time. I think.
Yep, you're over time.
Thanks.
Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks. Couple quick questions. My questions on the TRP were asked and answered, but just with respects to you mentioned City of Vancouver and Metro, can you just reaffirm that there's sort of overlapping policy with respects to oversight with the industrial land, and that you have both the City of Vancouver and the Metro pieces in place with the intention of protecting industrial land? Is that correct? You got a couple of different intersecting bodies that have some governance over this, correct?
Yep, Matthew Young, Employment Lands Planner. That is correct. This site is subject to Metro 2050. It has an industrial land designation.
Okay, so subject to Metro 2050 is not just a City of Vancouver piece, it's also a Metro piece.
Yes.
Thank you. And then just confirming that the proposed 1.6 FSR for the space of the 2 floors meets the goals for the industrial for renewal on sites within the zone?
Yes, that is correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Councillor Maloney.
Thanks. I just have a question about the broader purpose of industrial zoning. I'm confused about how hotels fit into this, given that I thought reserving land for industrial zoning was generally to accommodate employment uses that may have some undesirable external effect like noise or odour or large vehicle movements or danger in some way. But people live in hotels, so they need peace and quiet as well, and that might constrain surrounding uses. Could you give us some explanation of that?
Again, Matthew Young, Employment Lands Planner. Thank you for your question. We did talk to Metro Vancouver staff as well regarding this application. What they have said is that yes, industrial land is intended for industrial uses. That being said, while the industrial designation would not allow standalone non-industrial uses such as a standalone office or a standalone hotel, a mixed-use hotel would be enabled once the base industrial requirement has been met. So the policy that would enable hotel would require at least 1.5 floor space ratio to enable hotel use, and this application is providing that use. I would also say that given the focus of the Mount Pleasant industrial area, given its sort of creative industrial, it's the biotech uses, a hotel use is sort of it's sort of synergistic with those kind of uses as well. It would help intensify and further enable those kind of employment spaces.
Yeah, I must say I do find it a little bit inconsistent with I know I'm asking questions at the moment rather than opining, but the fact that we're trying to have employment uses that are more industrial focused, and anyway, I'm just a little bit, I'm not quite satisfied by that, but I appreciate the answer. Thanks. That's it. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. We will now hear from the public. Any speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the public speaker podium on the left. When it is your turn, the podium height can be adjusted using the controls on the right-hand side. Phone-in speakers will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Speakers will have up to 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Our first registered speaker is a registered representative speaker, is speaker number 1, Michael Cook. Is Michael present?
Present.
And do you have 3 additional people representing with you?
No, it's past their bedtimes.
Okay, then you'll have up to 5 minutes to speak. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I am Michael Cook, a co-founder of the Myron Manor Collective at 75 East 8th Avenue, a parishioner at St. Patrick's Church with my wife and our 2 sons. I'm a member of the BCGEU, an instructor of metal fabrication and ship construction at BCIT. I was supposed to represent more than 3. I am representing 8 children who live in our building. As I mentioned, they're all in bed now. So this is another one of the barriers that's created to limit public input, and you can have those 3 minutes. First, I want to ask council to consider 2 amendments. First, that the hotel development policy be amended by the removal of subsection 3.2.2.1D. The subsection declares all displacements of rental apartments by hotel developments to be in conformance with all community plans, despite the stated intent of those community plans and the official development plan to minimize displacements. Second, that the council immediately redesignate 75 East 8th Avenue to general urban use according to the authority granted by Metro 2050 Regional Growth Strategy, subsection 6.2.7A, in order to prevent the displacement of tenants. The site has never had an industrial use, The current building predates its industrial designation, and the developer is not applying for an industrial use. I noticed that city staff did not make the claim that, as they've made several times before, that quote, for new residential uses to be considered on the site would need Metro Vancouver Board approval for redesignation from industrial to general urban. According to 6.2.7A, council has the authority to make that decision. However, we heard that false claim from planning department staff many times in writing. We also heard it in person. We also heard it from the relocation specialist who claimed to be representing our interest. I want to state for the record that the process of this rezoning has been unfair throughout because of misleading statements made by the planning department staff and representatives of the developer. I think I want to thank the applicant for acknowledging our existence and taking a moment to speak to us and talk about his expectation that it will take 2 years to start construction. At the beginning of this process, Nestwell told us that it would be 18 months before there was a hearing on the rezoning. That was 8 months ago. City staff in the same call said 12 months until a rezoning hearing. So creates different expectations than the expectations that are actually being claimed when those expectations are not met. Another expectation I'd like to talk about is the planning department's claim in the referral report that displacements like these are expected to be infrequent. Why would that be the expectation? The extended stay hotel model is a 10x revenue multiplier on a traditional rental apartment. That's the reason for the application. They want to multiply revenue. That's their job. They're wealth managers. If the city's going to allow extended stay hotels to replace rental apartments, then of course developers are going to apply to do that everywhere. And if the developers and the city staff are working so closely together to find loopholes to allow it, then yeah, why would you expect it to be infrequent? It seems like a false claim coming from people who've made a lot of false claims on the record. I'd be interested to know when they decided to stop claiming that they needed Metro Board approval to redesignate the site. When did they decide to stop claiming that? Because they've claimed it to us in writing many times, many times. I won't have time to get through all the contradictions in the city's zoning policy or all the false claims that we've been told by city staff, but this has been entered into the record. Yeah, I don't have time. I will say about the tenants' needs survey, it was distributed in April. It was filled with misinformation, offers of potential supports that we've been told before and since don't exist. And we were told that it was critical for us to fill out that survey a month after we had asked for a corrected survey, and we were still waiting for it. And at that same meeting, Nestwell already knew that this hearing was going to happen 9 months early, and we weren't told. And city staff claimed that there was no special treatment being offered and no particular fast tracking for this at the meeting where the developer already knew that this was happening in the summer. They didn't tell us.
Michael, thanks very much. You're at time. It
doesn't save any jobs if you put a few apartments in the building. What jobs?
Michael, we need to continue here. Thanks very much for coming in to speak. This meeting is being recessed. We are going to be recessing the meeting until Thursday, July 23rd, 2026 at 9:30 a.m. here in Council Chamber and electronically to continue with item number 4. And I'll remind Council that this is very important that you do not engage in any discussion or correspondence in regard to the remaining application. Thank you very much.